Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the Nika Fanfics. Back with amazing fanfiction. This is the series of What if Deku possess elemental slugs? Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Hey, guys! Can we talk for a moment? Izuku yells from the common room in the Shane hideout, nervous about what he is about to tell them, with a blaster on his hip. He's been thinking about heading back to the surface for a while now, but because of Dr. Black and the Darkbane, he's delayed talking to them about this. Izuku knows that Eli came from the surface, and that he told Cord, Trixie, and Pronto, but that didn't calm his nerves whatsoever. Izuku hears a round of acknowledgements from the others and sits down, rubbing the back of his neck with his hand. Waiting for them to walk in the common room, he takes something out of his pocket and looks at a photo that was taken 5 years ago, one of his mother, himself, and his best friend, Katsuki Bakugo. Eli walks into the common room first, seeing the photo in his hand, and freezes for a moment, a look of recognition crossing his face, before sitting down next to Izuku. "What's up, Izuku?" The others walk in at that exact moment and sit down next to both of them. Izuku can tell that they're curious, but are willing to wait as long as it takes for him to talk. After a while of sitting in silence, he speaks. "I'm wanting to return to the surface. I helped a lot of people down here, but y'all don't need me anymore. I need to go up there and help everyone up there." After a moment, Eli asks, "Are you sure that you want to do this? Because the drop hasn't been reconstructed, it will most likely be a one-way trip for a while. And well, we'll miss you as well if you do." Pronto, Trixie, and Cord all nod in agreement, but don't say anything, because they know how serious this is for both Izuku and Eli. "I know, but I'll also be able to help with reconstructing while up there. Eli, I'm not just going for me. I want to be a hero up there, but I still want to come visit and have y'all visit me. You know how it is up there, Eli. We could just let people believe that Pronto and Cord have mutant quirks, and no one would even think twice about it. How are you going to even return back there, Izuku?" Eli asks, curious. A particular slug hops onto Izuku's shoulder and waves with one of its wings. "Yeah, he will do. All right, man. How long do we have until you leave?" Izuku smiled sadly and responds, "I am thinking either tomorrow or the day after. I've already charged up the phone I had before coming down here, and let me tell you, I was kind of surprised that I got signal down here. It was very weak but still, I was able to send a message to my mom, informing her that I would be back soon. Well, since you're leaving, we should help you pack and then get some sleep. That is, if that's okay with you." Trixie speaks up finally, eyes slightly watering, and Izuku can see that everyone is trying to keep it together. "Yeah. I'd love that." The rest of the day is spent packing everything that Izuku might need for the trip back up to the surface, and then they spend the night in the common room, sleeping together for what will likely be the last time for a while. The next morning, Izuku wakes up first, deciding that today will be the day for the trip. "Might as well rip the band-aid off while I still can, otherwise I won't be able to leave." With that in mind, he decides to make breakfast for the others, brewing coffee for everyone as well. As soon as he's done cooking, everyone else wakes up and sits in the common room, eating in silence as they have the feeling that one of their best friends and comrades is leaving soon. Cord is the first one to speak, with a single word. "When?" Izuku sighs sadly, knowing that it is the right thing to do, but knowing that doesn't make it hurt any less. "Probably in an hour or two." Cord nods, before grabbing Izuku and pulling him into a massive hug, Izuku barely able to breathe from the hug but smiling all the same. After breakfast is done, Izuku proceeds to double-check and make sure that he has everything. After doing so, he turns to leave his room, and sees everyone standing in the doorway. "Guys, please don't make this any harder than it already is." Trixie takes a photo of Izuku after a moment and then hugs him, saying goodbye and wishing him luck. Pronto gives him a map, pointing out all of the drop points that they have seen in their adventures, and asks that when he returns to let the nearest civilian know. After Izuku promises this, Cord walks up to him and hands him a wrench, saying, "For good luck." Izuku thanks him and then heads to the garage and hops onto a mechanical beast, or mecha beast, riding out to where the drop point is. Once he gets there, a hoverbug slug hops onto his shoulder. "Ready, Speedy?" The slug chirps and then hops into a cylinder-like container, known as a slug barrel, before Izuku removes his blaster from his hip and inserts the slug barrel into the blaster. See, in Slugterra, slugs are not only your best friends, but are also considered as ammo to slug slingers. Once a slug is shot from a blaster and reaches 100 miles an hour, it transforms into a larger beast, most of the time not even looking like its non-transformed form, allowing it to manipulate certain aspects of the world. The hoverbug, which Izuku named Speedy, for instance, can transform into a large bat-like creature and can be used as a mount of sorts. Just before Izuku fires, he hears the roar of Eli's mecha beast and sighs, firing and seeing Speedy transform and fly back down to him. As Izuku begins to transfer all of the luggage from the mecha beast to Speedy, he hears Eli pull up beside him. "Eli, please don't ask me to stay." Eli pauses for a moment before shaking his head. "I'm not. I was coming to get your mecha beast. That way, when you return, it will be in pristine condition." Izuku chuckles. "Don't let Cord have too much fun with it. You know how he is." Izuku finishes transferring the luggage and is about to hop onto Speedy and stops for a moment, turning back to Eli. "If Dr. Black breaks out, or the Darkbane break out again, and for some reason y'all can't stop him even with everyone's and everything's help, send one of the Shadow Clan to me. I'll be going to UA." Izuku pauses before continuing. "If for some reason I'm not there, send them to Principal Nizu." Eli stands there for a moment before nodding. "You're telling them?" Izuku nods and says, "I have to at least tell them and the teachers. That way, they're not assuming that we're getting attacked when and if one of the Shadow Clan shows up to come get me." Izuku hops onto Speedy and sits down on his back. "From all the fights that we've had with Dr. Black and the Darkbane, I have a feeling that both will be trying to break out in the future. Keep a close eye on him and the barrier, please. We can't have them trying to destroy Slugterra again." Eli nods. "I will. Stay safe, Izuku Midoriya." Izuku nods. "You do the same, Eli Shane." Speedy starts to fly away, with Izuku in tow, back to the surface world, having a strange feeling that something he said will bite him in the butt. During the ride back up to the surface, Izuku was feeling nervous. He had a plan for when he finally could get to see both Kaken and his mom, and didn't want to mess it up. As Speedy flew straight up, Izuku could see a dark-colored ceiling, and he could tell that he was just one ladder away from the rest of civilization. Once he got all of his luggage off of Speedy, the slug morphed back into its original form. "Well guys, ready to check out the city that I was raised in?" As Izuku heard a round of excited chirps from his slugs, he smiled, before walking towards the ladder that led out of the tunnel he was currently in. With a deep breath, he climbed the ladder and out onto the streets of Mizutofu, Japan. As Izuku stepped out onto a sidewalk, he smiles again, before pulling out his phone and pulling up the hero net. Might as well see if there are any villain fights in the area before I head home. At this point, he was just trying to stall for time, trying to get himself together before he met with his mom, but he wouldn't admit it to himself. Seeing that there was one 3 blocks away, he ran towards it, wanting to see some heroes in action. Once Izuku arrived, he could see what seemed like a kidnapping situation going on, but the surrounding building were on fire, likely caused by a quirk. However, what he was seeing was starting to piss him off. All of the heroes were just standing around, waiting for someone supposedly more suited to deal with the villain. As someone who's been in a life or death situation multiple times, he knew that this was just cowardice. And to think that these people were supposed to be able to protect us. As he is thinking about what he would be doing himself, knowing that technically, he shouldn't be doing anything because he didn't have a hero license, he heard the captive's voice, sounding like he was drowning. "Help, me!" After those 2 words were said, Izuku took action. As he pulled his blaster from his hip, he yelled, "Eos, you're up!" As a slug jumps out of his backpack, he holds up a slug barrel. The slug hops in and he inserts the barrel into his barrel. "Everyone cover your eyes." As he pulls the barrel, Eos, who to the citizens of Slugterra, would be known as a phosphoro slug, hits 100 miles an hour and transforms, before blinding the villain. And anyone else foolish enough not to listen to his warning, but he had other problems to worry about. The villain proceeds to say something, but Izuku ignores the BSTRD as he calls out, while holding up 2 more slug barrels, "Might, Charlotte, you're up." Might, an Armashelt slug, and Charlotte, an Arachnet slug, hop into the slug barrels, and Izuku fires them next, Might attacking the villain, which Izuku can now see has a mutant-type quirk that makes his whole body look like some kind of sludge, in the eye, and Charlotte at the victim, webbing him up and pulling him away from the villain. The villain tries to hit Izuku, but with a roll, he dodges, while yelling, "Volt, Blizzard, Hose, it's y'all's turn." The 3 slugs hop into their respective barrels and Izuku fires. Volt, a taserling slug, zaps the sludge villain with electricity, effectively knocking the BSTRD unconscious, while Blizzard, a frostcrawler slug, and Hose, an aquabeak slug, are taking care of the fires surrounding them. Once the fires are out, Izuku goes to pick up his slug barrels and puts them back onto his chest. After he does this, he puts his blaster back on his hip and turns around, the rage in his eyes obvious, as he starts yelling. "What in the name of all things holy were you all doing, just standing around like that while an innocent kid's life was at stake?" I shouldn't have had to step in like I did. Is this what we all can expect from all of Japan's finest heroes? Oh, no, he's too slippery to grab. No, fire will burn me to the point where I'll look like a piece of charcoal. Oh, no, I need at least a 2-lane road if I'm going to be able to come through here. What is the point of all of you becoming heroes if you are not willing to put your own life on the line to save people? If you had only used your brains, y'all would have had the kid saved within 30 seconds, just like I just did. I heard y'all talking about waiting for a hero with a better suited quirk in order to take care of this fucker, as if y'all couldn't have done the same things that I did. But who knows, maybe I am wrong, so let's go back and explain exactly how I took him down and prevented any more destruction from spreading. First off, I blinded the villain in 2 ways, first with bright lights, and then with a hit to their eyes. Not to mention the fact that I managed to get the kid away from the BSTRD within the same breath. Then, I knocked him out with an electrical charge while using both ice and water in order to put out the fires. All while my life was put on the line. Izuku takes a deep breath before continuing to lecture the heroes, but in a calmer voice. I should be in school, learning how to save people. I never would have thought that I would have to show some of Japan's brightest heroes how to do so instead. The victim, no, Katsuki, looks at Izuku as he walks away from the heroes in awe, before running after him. When he's about to say something, Izuku says, "Not here." They walk around for a little bit in silence, until they come to a park and sit down, both of them tired from the whole ordeal. After a moment, Katsuki finally speaks up. "Is it really you, Deku?" Izuku sighs, but nods. "Yeah, Kaken, I'm here." I know that you. Izuku is about to say more when Katsuki suddenly punches him in the face, standing up and getting in Izuku's face. 3 years. You were gone for 3 years. We all thought you died. Where the did you disappear to? And when did you get a quirk? Izuku winced from the sudden punch that was thrown at him. Yeah, I definitely deserved that. And I think I'll answer your last question first. I don't have a quirk. Never have and never will. And before you ask any more questions or punch me again, let me explain what has happened to me, and I'll answer all of your questions afterwards. Izuku then proceeds to talk about Slugterra and the 99 Caverns, how beautiful it is down there, how he helped people down there as a hero, how many times him and the Shane gang had to fight Dr. Black and his goons, and finally, how they had to fight against the Darkbane, barely winning. Kaken, it's been 3 months since we pushed the very few Darkbane that escaped the deep caverns back to the very same cavern that served as their prison, and we almost didn't win. If the Darkbane escaped, it wouldn't have just been Slugterra that was doomed. The entire world would have been. Just one of their elites would have been able to go up against All Might and push him into a stalemate. That's how powerful the BSTRDs are. Katsuki sits there and listens to the whole story before putting his head into his hands. Sheet, Izuku, how are you back up here then? And why would you even want to be back up here? You were a hero. No, scratch that, you are a hero. Why would you come up here and change that? Izuku smiles, hearing the worry in his best friend's voice. We promised that we would become heroes together, didn't we? I couldn't stay down there. Not when my best friend wasn't there by my side. Oh, by the way. Izuku punches Katsuki in the face just as hard as he had punched Izuku before. That's for punching me before you had the whole story, Kaken. Katsuki winces, but smiles softly. It's good to have you back, Deku. Have you talked to Andy yet? Izuku frowns slightly and shakes his head no. Well, that needs to change. Come on. Katsuki gets up and holds his hand out, offering to help Izuku up. Izuku smiles as he accepts the help, and they start heading towards Izuku's home, when Izuku accidentally bumps into someone hard and both of them fall down. Sorry about that, sir. I wasn't paying attention to where I was walking. Izuku looks at the older man, who in his opinion, looks kind of like a hobo, but doesn't say so. As the older man gets up, he says, "It's not a problem, kid. Just pay more attention next time." Izuku smiles brightly and nods, getting up and walking away. You have a nice day, sir. The older man smiles underneath his scarf and nods. You too, kid. As Katsuki and Izuku get closer to where the Midoriya residence is located, Izuku gets even more nervous. What if mom doesn't recognize me? What if she does recognize me? I don't want her to worry about me. Izuku, you're muttering again. Stop it. Izuku stops and feels embarrassed, not realizing that he had been talking out loud, but says nothing. You know that you need to talk to her, Izuku. She still loves you for the person that you are. Izuku smiles. Thanks, Kaken. Izuku and Katsuki finally reach the door, and before Izuku can change his mind, Katsuki knocks on the door. Not even 5 seconds later, the door opens, and Izuku is staring at the woman who is his mother. "Hi, Mom. I'm home." "Hi, Mom. I'm home." Izuku rubs the back of his neck, clearly nervous. The last time that he saw his mom, he couldn't help but notice how much she was holding himself back from his dream of being a hero, so he left, leaving a note saying that he would return once he was strong enough for her to stop worrying. His mom, who the world knows as Izuku Midoriya, looks at Izuku in awe with tears in her eyes. "Izuku? Is it really you? Please tell me I'm not dreaming." "You're not dreaming." Izuku hugs her and holds her tight, because even though she was holding him back, she was still his mom, and loved her. "I'm sorry that it took me so long to come back home." Inko backed away from Izuku and looked at him with a look that was a mix of worry and anger. "Izuku, you left us for 3 years. I had thought that you died. I had thought that I was a bad mother. You have 3 seconds to get in here and tell me what happened." Izuku shakes his head. "Mom, I might have been away for 3 years, but I know that you have to call a detective first. Please do that, and then we can talk with them here." In Slugterra, he had to deal with some runaway cases of his own, and had been called once or twice himself. Inko sighed, but relented, heading to the back of the house to make a call. "Fine, but at least come inside and get something to eat. I just finished making katsudon." Izuku smiles and enters his childhood home for the first time in 3 years, tears spilling down his face as it looks exactly like it did when he left, and grabbed a bowl of food, sitting down at the dining room table and eating the food, waiting for the detective to show up. Once he's done with the food, he washes the bowl and puts it back in a cabinet, before hearing the knock on the door. Inko starts to head to it, but Izuku stops her. "Mom, let me get it, please. After all, they are here because of me. The least I can do is open the door for them." His mom nods, tears spilling down her eyes as she sits down in the living room, and Izuku heads to the door, cracking it open slightly to make sure it was a detective, seeing a man in a brown trench coat. "Before I fully open the door, may I see some identification? I believe I know why you're here, but you can never be too careful." The man smiles, before complying and holding up a badge. Satisfied for now, but with a hand on his blaster, he opens the door, and sees another man standing behind him. Difference being, Izuku recognizes the man, not from accidentally bumping into him earlier today, but as an underground hero. Eraserhead, one of his top favorite heroes, was standing in front of him, and it was taking all of his willpower not to go into fanboy mode. "Come on in." Shota Aizawa was a logical man. He could usually see who had potential as a hero. And the kid that was right in front of him, his hand holding on to what must be some kind of weapon, in a defensive way, clearly had the potential to be one. But as the problem child, Izuku Midoriya, was the reason why both himself and his best friend, Naomasa Tsukachi, were here, that discussion would have to be put on the back burner, for now. "Thank you. Are you Izuku Midoriya?" The kid nods and says, "Mom is in the living room." Izuku holds the door open, letting both the detective and Eraserhead into the home, before closing the door and locking it. Afterwards, he leads them to the living room and sits down after they do. After a moment of silence, the detective speaks up. "My name is Detective Naomasa Tsukachi. My quirk is called Lie Detector. I have a few questions for you, Midoriya, and I will know if you're not telling the truth. Do you consent to this being recorded for the record?" "Yes, sir." "Is your name Izuku Midoriya?" "Yes." "True. Are you 18 years old?" "Not quite yet. My birthday is tomorrow. Right now, I'm 17. "True. Did you run away from here 3 years ago?" "Yes." "True. Why did you run away?" "In order to become strong enough to become a hero and stop my mom from worrying about me being weak." "True. Why would your mom worry about you being weak?" Izuku takes a moment to take a deep breath before he responds. "Because I am quirkless." Tsukachi looks shocked for a moment before speaking again. "True. Where did you go to train in order to become strong enough that you felt ready to return?" Izuku shakes his head. "I cannot reveal that information on the record. And before you ask why, it is a matter of life and death as to why I will not reveal that information." If Tsukachi didn't have his quirk, he would have sworn that the kid was lying. "True. What do you plan to do now that you have returned?" Izuku smiles, grateful that the detective didn't push for him to tell them about Slugterra. "I want to become a hero, so I want to go to UA. I plan on letting the staff know where I went to train, because I know that the staff will be able to help me become strong enough to help anyone that I run across, and stop any villain that tries to cause destruction and mayhem." "True." Tsukachi pulls out a recorder and sets it on the table. "This is going to be the end of the interview, as I am certain that while how you did what you did was wrong, you do have a good heart." He presses the stop button on the recorder. Shota looks at Izuku before he speaks. Now that we are off the record, where did you go to train? And before you say that you can't tell me, Tsukachi is a trusted friend of mine, and I work at UA. Before Izuku gets a chance to speak, he hears his phone ring. He looks down and sees that it's Kaken. May I answer this before we have this discussion? Eraserhead nods and Izuku answers. What's up, Kaken? I'm in the middle of something right now. He listens to him before his eyes widen. What website? He listens again and groans. I guess it will be a lot easier than having to show them. Thanks for letting me know, but I've got to go. I'll talk to you later. He hangs up and sees that his phone is almost dead, before looking at his mom, Detective Tsukachi, and Eraserhead. Can one of y'all pull up the HeroNet? I need to show you something before I continue. Eraserhead pulls out his phone and pulls up the HeroNet, and he can't believe his eyes. Even without pressing play on the first video that appeared, he can see the green hair that belonged to Midoriya. Kid, what did you do? Press play and show it to everyone. Shota does that and the video begins to play. It starts out right before Izuku arrived, and what he saw made him extremely set off. Heroes shouldn't be standing around waiting for someone else to pick up their slack. Then he hears Izuku's voice, and what he saw then wasn't a scared kid. He saw a hero in action. The fight, if you can call it that, didn't even last a minute. But it didn't make any sense. Izuku had said that he was quirkless, so how was he able to defeat the villain? That was when he saw the same weapon in the video that he saw when he walked in the house. But that wasn't the end of the video, or the amount of questions that were bouncing around in his head. As in the video, Izuku begins to scold the heroes that decided to stand around and wait. After the end of the video, everyone is silent for a moment, before he speaks up. How were you able to defeat him, if you're quirkless? I'm not angry that you stopped him, or saying that you're a liar about being quirkless, but what you did somehow included powers. Izuku smiles softly, and takes a deep breath before speaking. Guys, come on out. After he says that, every slug that he has comes out of his backpack and lines up on the table. As they do so, Izuku takes his blaster off of his hip and also sets it down on the table. Eos, Might, Charlotte, Volt, Blizzard, and Hose separate from the group and head to Mr. Eraserhead, please. The slugs hop towards Eraserhead and stop right in front of him. The 6 slugs are the ones to thank for stopping the villain. After Izuku says this, he begins to go into the same explanation about Slugterra and what happened to him while he was down there that he went into with Kaken. Once he was done with his story, he discovered that the entire living room was flooded, due to his mom crying. Can everyone do me a favor and pull y'all's feet up? I don't want to accidentally hurt y'all, and there's nothing worse in my opinion than having wet socks for the rest of the day. Everyone pulls their feet up, and are curious as to what he will do. Izuku grabs his blaster and sets 3 slug barrels onto the table. Blizzard, Breaker, and Smoke. Up for an up-close demonstration? If so, hop in. The 3 slugs hop into their respective barrels, excited to show off. Blizzard here is a Frostcrawler slug. He slots Blizzard's slug barrel into his blaster and shoots Blizzard at the ground, where the slug makes all the water that's in the room freeze into solid ice after transforming. Blizzard chirps afterwards, and hops back onto the table. Breaker is a Ramstone slug. He shoots Breaker a couple of times, making the ice break up enough so that it can all be melted at the same time, which he does by shooting Smoke once, explaining that Smoke is a Flamingo slug. Shota is not a man that is easily shocked, but what he just saw and heard shocked him to his core. But what he did know, shocked or not, was that the problem child showed that he cared when he spoke, but one thing kept bothering him. Izuku, during your story, you mentioned a race called the Darkbane and a person named Dr. Black. Are they going to become a problem? Izuku went to shake his head no, but remembered that feeling he had when he left Slugterra. The feeling that he always got when there was trouble about to head his way. I want to say that they won't, but Dr. Black has always been tenacious. And the Darkbane will always try to leave the deep caverns that serve as their prison. But my gut is telling me that yes, one, if not both, are going to be causing trouble again, and soon. As soon as Izuku finishes speaking, Shota hears a sound behind him and quickly stands up and turns around, his quirk activated. Before he begins to attack however, he hears, "Eraser, stand down. They're a friend." Shota turns around to find Izuku looking in his luggage for something until he pulls out a black and green circlet and puts it on, wincing in pain slightly before asking the new creature in the room, what's going on. Whatever the creature said, it made Izuku turn pale. After Izuku told Eraserhead to stand down, he put the crown, otherwise known to the citizens of Slugterra as a Shadow Talker, on, wincing in pain as the talker let him comprehend what the Shadow Clan behind Eraser would want to say to him. After the pain subsides, he asks, "What's going on?" The Shadow Clan stands up slightly before speaking. Dr. Thaddeus Black has escaped the prison known as Stalagmite. We have tried searching everywhere in Slugterra, as has Eli Shane and his friends, but it seems like he has disappeared. Also, the Darkbane known as El Diablo's Nacho has escaped the deep caverns again. We believe that he is one of the instigators that helped Black disappear. Izuku felt his face go pale. How long ago? About 8 hours ago. Izuku sits down, trembling. Dr. Black and El Diablo's escaped as soon as he left Slugterra. Shota can tell that whatever news that Izuku got wasn't good news, and that it kept getting worse. After the creature left and Izuku took off the circlet, Izuku said, "How far away are the entrance exams?" "For you, 2 months away. I'm recommending you for the recommendation exam." "Why?" Izuku looks Eraserhead right in the eyes before he speaks. "Because, Dr. Black and one of the Darkbane has escaped, and they're not in Slugterra." Dr. Thaddeus Black was a patient man, or so he thought, but he was starting to get annoyed. His partners were taking their sweet FING time to break him out of this prison. But after a little bit of time, he hears a sound coming from right behind him, and when he turned, what he saw didn't make any sense. What exactly was this purple mist that was in front of him? It apparently was a person, because it was starting to speak. "Hello there. My name is Kurogyri, and I am a representative for the League of Villains. Can you please take a couple of steps back so that my boss and I can come through? We have a business proposal for you." Dr. Black thinks for a moment, before shrugging, thinking, what the hell? Might as well entertain this Kurogyri. Besides, this proposal better be worth his time, or they will know his wrath, before stepping back. The mist spreads out a little bit, before 2 men stepped out of the mist. One had a face, if you could call it that was surrounded by the same purple mist that they stepped out of. The second man looked like he got into a fight with someone with that only used either ramstone or thresher slugs, because he didn't have a face and had a life support mask. The second man begins to speak, Dr. Black grinning like a madman as he hears some interesting news. "Greetings, Dr. Black. Your reputation precedes you. My name is Hisashi Midoriya, but I prefer to go by All for One, and both me and my associate here are not from this place that y'all call Slugterra. I heard that my son was the one that put you here, and I can't allow that. My son, associate, and I come from the surface. You would know it by the name of the Burning World." An alarm starts blaring and the man who introduced himself as the father of one of his enemies sighs. "Is there a place we can talk in private, and where you can grab gear?" Dr. Black nods, eager to see where this might lead. "My citadel, which is in a cavern not far away from here." Kurogyri creates another warp gate connecting from the prison to Black's citadel. "We don't have long, so if you wouldn't mind stepping through, please." Dr. Black does so, with Kurogyri and All for One following close behind him. Once in the citadel, Black calls up an associate of his, asking him to come to the citadel alone, informing him of what happened, before sitting down in his chair, grinning. "Now, let's get down to business, shall we?" El Diablo's Nacho was not a patient man, not that he was human to begin with. He had been trying to break Dr. Black out of the prison that he was put in for a while now, but with little to no luck. So when he heard what exactly happened, he went to the citadel. Once he entered the room though, he felt like he was meeting up with his boss. Not Dr. Black, but rather the leader of the Darkbane. That's how much the man in front of him and Dr. Black radiated with power. Once the man spoke, he could tell that while he radiated with power, the man also had a silver tongue that was even better than Dr. Black himself. Once the man, who introduced himself as All for One, asked for a favor in exchange for another, Nacho spoke up. "I want my brothers out of the cavern that serves as our prison." All for One actually has the audacity to chuckle. "Once my favor is done, I will do yours. Dr. Black's favor actually coincides with mine. You see, I want to teach my son a lesson. So the favor that I want you both to do for me is actually very simple." All for One laughs before finishing what he has to say. "I want you both to kill Izuku Midoriya." El Diablo smiles. "That won't be a favor. That will be a privilege." Eli and the rest of the gang are sitting down in shock as they watch the security camera footage of Dr. Black's escape. Trixie is the first one to speak up. "There's no way that he is Izuku's father, right?" Cord shakes his head. "I don't know Trixie, but if he is, Izuku doesn't know." Eli looks at Burpee, who shakes his head no. "We can't tell Izuku by way of a third person. He might not know it yet, but we need to be the ones to tell him. If Dr. Black is the one that tells him, he will snap, and we won't be able to stop Izuku from going on a rampage if he's fully rested. Let's head to Black's Citadel and try to grab all of them before they vanish." All of them hop on their mechas and ride as fast as they can, and when they arrive at the Citadel, they search it from top to bottom, but no one is in sight. Eli taps his communicator. "Anyone find anything?" After everyone else tells him no, he sees a note addressed to him. Seeing the contents of the letter, Eli rushes outside after telling the others to head back to the hideout. Once they all arrive at the hideout, Eli rushes over to the safe that holds the Shadow Clan tech that they let them keep, pulling out one of the Shadow Talkers and putting it on. After a few seconds, a Shadow Clan member appears in the hideout and begins speaking to Eli. After they share news with each other, Eli says, "Can you locate Izuku Midoriya and tell him what happened? He's the only one that will be able to stop Black if he is on the surface. Just don't tell him the details about the one called All for One. We need to be the ones who tell him about that information. Otherwise, he will go into a rampage." After an acknowledgement from the Shadow Clan, it disappears. "Cord, I need you to get our mechas to fly long enough to reach the surface. Can you do that?" Cord nods and heads to the garage, before stopping. "Am I modding Izuku's mecha too?" Eli nods, and then turns to Trixie and Pronto. "It's going to take everything we have and more to stop Dr. Black and El Diablos. Let's get to work." Dr. Black, All for One, El Diablos, and Kurogyri step out of the portal into a warehouse, and All for One starts to speak. This warehouse is in the middle of the wilderness, and has everything you need in order to start preparing your arsenal, including all the slugs and dark water, which we warped here, that you had before you were captured. Dr. Black laughs like a madman, before saying, "I see. How long do I have before we need to be ready?" All for One thinks for a moment before responding. "If I had a guess, I would say roughly 2.5 months. I plan on getting rid of 2 birds with 1 stone. Sadly, because of my last fight, I'm not going to be able to be there, but my successor will be. Just to warn you though, he gets set off easily, and can kill anything or anyone with just 1 touch, so be wary around him. Any more questions before I leave you to work?" Dr. Black shakes his head, already walking away and starting to set up shop, before stopping and turning back to All for One. "Just don't let your successor get in our way. He might have his own agenda to fulfill, but that doesn't mean that I won't kill him if he gets in my way." All for One chuckles and acknowledges him, before walking through a warp gate with Kurogyri, and starts preparing his successor over the next 2 months, while Dr. Black starts ghouling the slugs that he brought to the surface. Eli and the rest of the Shane gang are trying to get their mechas to fly over the next 2 months, while preparing their slugs for the inevitable storm that's around the horizon. Izuku is training for the next 2 months, preparing for the entrance exam with Eraserhead, sparring without his blaster, in order to both build up his strength and speed. Sometimes, Kaken joins in as well, and the two of them start to become rivals while training, but remaining best friends when they're not. Every now and then, Izuku has a nightmare concerning Black and El Diablos, but most of the time, he's fully rested. 2 months eventually pass, and Izuku and Kaken are standing at the gates of UA, with Izuku ready to take on the recommendation exam and Kaken ready to take on the public exam, while Eli and the Shane gang finish the remaining touches on the mechas, and Dr. Black and El Diablos finish ghouling all of the slugs that they had brought with him. All for One has succeeded in preparing his successor, Tamura Shigaraki, for the fight against All Might, loaning him a Nomu for the fight as well. Now, all he had to do was wait. As Izuku walks onto UA grounds, he feels like he's at peace, kind of like he just returned home, and knows that this is where he belongs. As he follows the other students who got recommended for the exam to the auditorium, he unknowingly begins to mutter while analyzing the people who might become his future classmates, a few of them standing out other than most. One of the students, who had red and white hair, had a scowl on his face, which made Izuku worry for a couple of minutes. He had to deal with an abusive family before down in Slugterra, and the student had the same look as the kid that was raised by the very same abusive assholes. Another student had a huge smile on his face, and Izuku could tell that he would become one of the best heroes that he's ever seen. Even being near him brought a smile that was similar to Izuku's face. The last student was the one that made Izuku's heart stop for a moment, and all he could think about was how beautiful she was. She had her hair up in a ponytail, while her black eyes gleamed with intelligence. "Enough, Izuku. You came here to become a hero. Focus." As soon he sits down in his seat, he sees someone come onto the stage, and has to try to contain his inner fanboy, as the person on the stage was no other than the voice hero, Present Mike. Present Mike proceeds to explain the whole exam. Apparently, the first part of the exam was going to be a team exercise, where 3 or 4 students would be undertaking a mission, where they would have to capture a villain within a certain time PRD. Afterwards, those that had passed would be interviewed with by the principal himself. Present Mike finishes his presentation and everyone except Izuku stands up in order to group up. Izuku wanted his teammates to want to work with him, so he just sat there, waiting. Not long would pass before both the boy with red and white hair and the girl that made his heart flutter approached him and asked to team up with him. Izuku says something before the boy can say what is on his mind. Before you say something stupid like, "I'm not taking this seriously," know that I am. I was just waiting for people to work with me instead of going to them. The boy looked shocked for a moment, while the girl smiled slightly. So, if you came to me just to say something along the lines of that, please go find another group. Otherwise, I would definitely like to work together. Both of them nod. Cool. I'm excited to meet y'all then. Sorry, I went into that speech but I didn't ask for y'all's names. Izuku rubs the back of his neck nervously. Down in Slugterra, no one cared about his lack of a quirk, but up here on the surface, he was treated cruelly, being called useless most of the time. Momo Yaoyorozu could tell that the green-haired boy was intelligent. Just off of his little speech alone, she felt inspired, because what he did was a genius move. But it also made her wonder why he looked nervous right now, but she could ask about that later. My name is Momo Yaoyorozu, but you can just call me Momo. This here is Shoto Todoroki. What's your name? The boy smiles brightly, but she can still tell that he's nervous, as he tells her that his name is Izuku Midoriya. Present Mike asks for everyone's attention, and then directs them to their testing grounds. As Izuku and the others walk with him, he gets his head into the mindset of going on a mission, which is actually very easy, considering that's the test. While we're walking, do y'all mind informing me what y'all's quirks are? It would make it easier for us to know. Shoto informs him that his quirk is half hot half cold, which lets him create ice with his right side and fire on his left, but informs them that he only uses his right side, to which Izuku looks at hearing that. That's FING bullshit. You can't become a hero if you're FING half-butting the FING job. And before you tell me some bullshit about saying something along the lines of, "I won't use their quirk," let me stop you right there and say that the power that you have is yours, not theirs. But, because apparently you were being a dumbass, for this exercise, only use the side that you apparently trained. Izuku sighs, looking tired all of a sudden, before asking Momo of her quirk. She informs him that her quirk is called Creation, which lets her create any non-organic object as long as she understands the molecular structure behind it. That's an amazing power. Alright, so here's what I've got planned. If y'all have any suggestions, I'm happy to hear them. Izuku, Shoto, and Momo complete their mission and wait for the personal interview with the principal. Eraserhead, sorry, Shota, informed Izuku that he told the principal about why he recommended him, but didn't inform them about Slugterra, and that he would have to give them that information when he did the interview. When his name is called out, Momo reaches out and grabs his wrist, causing him to turn around, heart pounding like crazy. She smiles at him, before wishing him good luck. Shoto wishes him good luck as well, but is clearly thinking about something. Izuku smiles, asking for their numbers, to which they gladly oblige. Thank you. After we all get into the school, let's all hang out and celebrate. After he says that, he walks towards the door and enters the room that the principal is in. During the interview, he informs the principal about what happened to him down in Slugterra, and everything that was told to him 2 months ago. Which is why I have a plan for if they decide to attack the school. Speedy, can you please come out? Speedy hops out of his backpack and hops onto the table. Speedy here is a hoverbug slug. He's how I was able to return back up here, but he's also my fastest slug. If you see him without me, then wherever I am on the campus, that's where the danger is. Also, if it is possible, I need to have access to a lab, that way, I can work on my blaster, and maybe even work on making a second 1-inch after that. The interview continues for a few more minutes, before it ends, and Izuku walks out, feeling happy. Nedzu is considered one of the smartest, if not the smartest, creatures on Earth, but what the student, Izuku Midoriya, just informed him about his mind. A whole world, right beneath our feet. And that's not including the fact that apparently the kid was already a hero. When they asked Izuku why he returned, he had said that while he knew that he could have stayed, he wanted to help everyone, from both worlds. Also, the plan that the kid had, informing them about the fact that there might be a villain attack on campus, and how he planned informing the staff, was genius. Maybe it's time to have a personal student. That mind of his needs to be refined, because it's already his strongest weapon. 2 weeks fly by, and while Izuku is nervous about whether or not he got in, he was happy. Several times over the couple of weeks, he hung out with Momo and Shoto, Kaken joining them a few times as well, even though he kept calling Shoto either half and half, or icy hot, which while it was funny, it wasn't the right time for the nicknames, and Izuku chewed him out because of it. Kaken apologized, and everyone was cool because of it. Shoto was finally able to get his head out of his butt, and started to use his fire again, even if right now, it was not as controlled as his ice, but they could work on that. He informed the group a little bit about what has happened to him throughout his childhood, to which Izuku had to ask to physically be held down, before he went to Shoto's father and firing a Flatulorhynchus slug at him. Eventually, the letter that held his future showed up, and he went to his room, before opening it. He read it, and focused on the last sentence, rubbing his eyes to make sure he wasn't hallucinating. Izuku Midoriya, welcome to your Hero Academy. As Izuku lets the others know that he got in, and that he is in Class 1A, not letting them know that Eraserhead is the homeroom teacher, purely because he likes the chaos, he gets in and out of the shower, puts on some clothes, and grabs his slugs and blaster, before heading to the kitchen where his mom is. Mom! 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 I got in. And I'm in Mr. Aizawa's homeroom. Also, I have to head out to celebrate with the others, so I will be coming home late. After Inko congratulates him and says to be safe, Izuku runs out of the house and heads to the mall. Once the group finally arrives, everyone says that they are in Class 1A, as well, with Kaken looking like he is trying not to laugh while the others aren't looking, and looking smug while they are. He knows who his homeroom teacher is, because he has been training with Izuku, and therefore, has been training with Mr. Aizawa as well, and one thing that both Izuku and Kaken know about the man is that he loves pulling pranks, logical ruses. The group heads to a cafe, and are about to order, when all of a sudden, a massive explosion can be heard outside. Izuku reacts immediately. Speedy, go do recon. The hoverbug slug takes off immediately, and not even a minute later, is back, chirping nervously. And that's when he hears a sentence, while surprised, that Izuku was really hoping he would not hear, going pale. Who's Dr. Black? Your friend there is saying his name. As he turns to see who spoke, he asks the stranger if talking to animals is his quirk, to which the stranger nods. Your friend is also saying that he's using ghouls? Alright, here's the plan. Kaken, call him and let him know that he's here at the mall. Shoto, Momo, get everyone to safety, and then stay back. I've got to deal with a FING monster. As he says this, he runs towards the explosions, before seeing a hero that he really didn't want to be here, because of Mr. Aizawa. Present Mike. Don't. The voice hero doesn't listen to him, and Izuku murmurs a quick apology to his teacher, before yelling, Hisashi. The voice hero finally stops, and turns around, looking sad, as Izuku gets closer. I'm sorry, Present Mike, but I wouldn't be able to look Mr. Aizawa in the face if you died. The voice hero looks like he's about to say something, but Izuku wasn't done. Before you say anything, my name is Izuku Midoriya. Present Mike looks at Izuku in recognition, and finally speaks. It's nice to finally meet you in person, little listener, but you shouldn't be here. Present Mike, if it wasn't for the fact that it's Dr. Black, and the fact that he's using ghouls, I wouldn't be here. Please focus on helping the civilians. I'll take care of Black. Izuku runs off in the direction, not looking back. After a couple minutes of running across the rooftops, he finally sees Black, who's FING laughing as he causes all the destruction, and stops, taking a moment to tell Speedy to rally the troops. After the slugs are ready, he proceeds to shoot Blizzard and Breaker at Black, succeeding in hitting him both times due to the surprise attack, Black's blaster flying out of his grip. You know, I heard that you escaped Slugterra, but I didn't expect that you would be stupid enough to lose your blaster within 2 shots. You've lost your touch, Black. Izuku slots in Phobos, a Frightgeist slug, and shoots it at Black, hitting him and then spooking him to run away, and Izuku cursed, not having the foresight to grab his FING blaster. Izuku hears his phone ring, and as he pulls it out and looks at the caller ID, he winces. It's Eraserhead. Oh well, time to face the music, Izuku thinks, before answering the phone. Where are you, kid? Northwest corner of the mall. Luckily, I managed to get him to run away. I wish that I could have just captured him, but I couldn't risk the chance that the fight would hurt civilians, or my friends. Izuku tries to change the subject just a tiny bit, hoping to get the Erasure hero to chuckle. Don't worry, I didn't tell them who you were. I know how much you like your logical ruses. Thanks, but don't try to change the subject. Are you on a rooftop or on the ground? Heading to the ground level now in order to grab my slugs. Izuku sighs, while heading down to the ground level. DMN, I hate how that sounded. I know that my slugs volunteer to be shot, but it doesn't mean that I don't like the violence. I have a feeling that next time we meet the BSTRD, it won't be as easy as today. As it is, we also have to deal with the loose ghouls. Izuku finally gets to the ground level, and sees that his slugs are fighting the ghouls 10-1, and very quickly shoots Medi, a boondock slug, at the ghouls, turning them back into normal. Never mind on that last part. How far away are you? I'm a minute out. Stay put. Understood. I'll see you soon. Izuku hangs up and checks over his slugs, before addressing the slugs that were ghouls. I'm sorry, friends, but I don't have a way to return y'all home, yet. Would y'all want to come with me until I can? It's up to y'all, but I don't want the monster that made y'all ghouls to have the chance to do so again. The slugs that were turned look at each other, before hopping onto Izuku, and he smiles warmly, glad to be helpful to the slugs. Izuku texts his group of friends, asking for the name of the kid that could speak to animals, and as he sees Aizawa, finally, they text back a name. Koji Koda. Aizawa checks Izuku over for wounds as soon as he gets closer, before lecturing him about what he did wrong with going into the battle like he did, again. Mr. Aizawa, I know. But your husband would have been killed if he tried to face off against Dr. Black, and I didn't want that. And before you ask, I see the ring around your neck. That and the fact that you talked to someone saying that you loved them named Hisashi, it wasn't that hard to put 2 and 2 together. Aizawa looked at Izuku with a mixture of anger and thankfulness, before nodding. Thank you for that, but that doesn't mean that what you did wasn't reckless. I know, but I'm the only one here that's faced off against him before. It was the logical choice. Was he using Mr. Aizawa's own teaching against him? Yes. Did either of them comment on it? No. No, they didn't. I'm glad that you're safe, problem child. In the end, that's what's important. Now, let's get you and your friends to your house. Izuku nods, but hesitates for a moment. Wait. There was a kid that looked like he's my age, and I was wondering if he's in our class. Aizawa sighs, before telling Izuku that yes, Koji Koda was in his class. With that, he leads Izuku, and the others when they meet up with them, back to Izuku's house, where Aizawa leaves and the others head up to Izuku's room, and Izuku flops onto the bed, utterly exhausted. Kaken is the first one to speak. Was it really him? Izuku growls. Yeah. It was him. Momo and Shoto look at Izuku, worried. Izuku has never growled in front of them before, and it was scary. They knew about his past, but he made it seem like it wasn't a big worry now. Of course, they knew that it was a big worry then, but still. Momo starts to speak. Are you okay? Izuku glares at her, which again, he's never done, and Momo looks shocked. She doesn't know how she feels about Izuku, other than that he makes her heart flutter, but the look that she just received from him made her feel helpless, as she doesn't know how to cheer up her friend. Yeah. Okay. Stupid question. Let me rephrase. Will you be okay? Izuku shrugs, knowing that he just glared at her. Sorry, Momo. I just thought that he was just going to be a piece of my past. I knew that he escaped Slugterra, but I didn't think that he would be able to do anything. Izuku starts to yell. I should have known. I should have known that the FINGBSTRD would do something like this, and I wasn't prepared. Momo goes over to Izuku and hugs him, and that's when he breaks down, crying. Momo looks over to Katsuki and Shoto with a look that says, I'll take care of him. You guys head home. We'll see y'all at school tomorrow. As both of them nod and walk out of the room to head home, Momo stays, letting Izuku cry, before he passes out. Momo starts rubbing her hands through his hair affectionately, watching over him as he sleeps, before falling asleep right next to him. As Izuku starts to wake up, he realizes 3 things. 1, he feels safe and warm, and he doesn't want to wake up. 2, this will be his first day of school in just over 3 years. And 3, which is slightly freaking him out, is that Momo is sleeping in his bed with him. Correction, it's totally freaking him out. When he feels Momo shift and waking up, he quickly gets up and head to the bathroom. After he's done in there, remembering what happened yesterday and calming down while in the shower, he heads back to his bedroom, shirtless, where Momo is looking thoughtful. What's wrong? As Momo wakes up, she sees Izuku get up suddenly and rushes out of the bedroom, heading to the bathroom to get in the shower, still worried for him. She is about to start to get ready for school when she realizes that she doesn't have her uniform. When she hears Izuku, she looks up at him, and the first thing she sees are the scars and muscles on his chest, thinking, wow, that's hot, wait, why am I thinking that's hot? Her face all of a sudden feels like it's hot, while saying, Izuku, I don't have my uniform. Also, can you please put on a shirt? She wants to ask about the scars, but considering what happened yesterday, that can wait. Izuku smiles, nodding as he puts his school shirt on. Why not just use your quirk to create it? I'm sure that our homeroom teacher will understand. Momo looks like she's about to say something along the lines of that's against the rules, but Izuku quickly says, sometimes you have to break a rule in order to save a life, Momo. But, if it helps, I can check for you? I have our homeroom teacher's number. Izuku can tell Momo wants to know why he has their teacher's number, but she nods. He sends a text to Mr. Aizawa, letting him know the situation and asking if she can use her quirk in order to create a uniform. After a minute of waiting, his phone dings, and Izuku shows Momo the text, saying that she could, this one time only. After Momo sees the text, she nods and creates the uniform, before heading to the bathroom to change. After she's done, she pulls out her phone and calls Katsuki. After a moment, he picks up. What do you want? We only have roughly an hour and a half before school starts. Have you ever seen Izuku shirtless after he returned? No. I haven't. Why? Did you see something you liked? Katsuki asked in a joking manner. Momo blushes, not that Katsuki would be able to see so. Well, maybe, but that's not why I called. Katsuki, he's riddled with scars. I wanted to warn you without Izuku hearing, but because we will be in different locker rooms when we change into gym clothing, y'all will be able to see them. I'm worried that Black is the one that did this to him. Momo hesitates for a moment before continuing. And I don't mean in a fight. Katsuki doesn't say anything for a moment before talking. I'll let Shoto know, and we will make sure no one asks any questions when we're in the locker room. Now, hurry up and get ready for school. I'm not going to be late because of y'all. He hangs up before Momo can say anything. As Momo turns around to head back to the bedroom, she freezes, as Izuku is right in front of the doorway, tears streaming down his face. Before she can say a word though, he rushes towards her and hugs her. Thank you. Momo smiles, before hugging back. You're welcome, Izu. When you're ready to talk about it, I'll be there. Alright? She feels Izuku nod, before he pulls away. Now, let's get going. Apparently, if we don't, Katsuki won't wait up for us. Izuku laughs for the first time since the attack, which makes Momo smile again. As they leave the house to head to the train station, Izuku is smiling, and Momo looks at him, thinking that she needs to ask him out on a date, not knowing that he's thinking the same thing. 30 minutes later, everyone is at the front gates of UA. As they walk through the gates, they feel like nothing can stop them from becoming the best heroes they can be. They all walk to their classroom and sit near each other, an hour early, talking to each other while waiting for their classmates to come in. Eventually, everyone else enters the classroom, except for their teacher, when Izuku feels a pair of eyes on him from behind them, and he gives a subtle wave to their teacher, who's in a hideous yellow sleeping bag. Hey! Let's all sit down before our teacher arrives. Momo, Shoto, and Kaken all saw the subtle wave and nod, before heading to their seats, while Izuku smirked a little bit towards Mr. Aizawa, before going to Koda and starts talking to him, thanking him for the information that he gave yesterday, and then finally sitting down at his desk, waiting to see how long it will take for the others to finally notice. After 10 minutes, no one noticed, and Izuku looks at Mr. Aizawa and asks him a question with his eyes. May I? Aizawa nods. Izuku takes a deep breath before speaking, or more accurately, yelling. Everyone sit down. Our teacher has been here for over 10 minutes and none of you noticed. Everyone turns to him in shock, except for his friends, and Koda, and Izuku points to Mr. Aizawa, who finally gets out of the sleeping bag, rubbing his ears a little. Midoriya is correct. I am disappointed that it took so long for most of y'all to realize it. If I was a villain, almost everyone in this class would be dead. Therefore, I will be teaching y'all situational awareness over the next 3 years. Along with the normal hero lessons that we have at this institution. Now, Mr. Aizawa grabs some gym uniforms and puts them on his desk. Put these on and head to the field outside. As everyone gets up to get a uniform and head to the locker rooms, Aizawa stops Izuku. I'm giving you the option to opt out of this. It's mostly a quirk apprehension test, and technically, you don't have one. Izuku smiles softly before speaking. I appreciate the offer, but I don't want anyone to think that I'm weak. Those days are behind me. So, if you don't mind, I'd like to participate. Aizawa nods and sends him to the locker room. Despite the fact that he was late, he was still the first one to arrive outside, followed by his friends. After 30 minutes, everyone is finally outside, and Izuku is said, not that anyone expect his friends and Mr. Aizawa noticed. 30 minutes is unacceptable. Next time, I will expect everyone to be out here within 5 minutes. The teacher sighed softly, not that anyone but Izuku noticed, but that's because he was also sighing. Bakugo, what was your farthest distance you could throw a ball in middle school? About 60 meters. Aizawa tosses him a baseball. Good. Now, throw the ball while in the circle, but this time, use your quirk. Bakugo walks into the circle and throws the ball, getting a score of over 700 meters. Everyone starts to speak, saying that these tests will be fun, and Momo grabs Izuku's arm before he starts speaking, giving him a look that says, let Mr. Aizawa handle this one. Izuku nods, before looking at Mr. Aizawa, who's looking at him. Shota knows that Izuku is said, just like he also noticed that Yaoyorozu calmed him down, and he can't blame him. Unlike most of the other students, Izuku knew what it was really like out there in the real world. Hell, he just stopped an attack yesterday. And that's why he knows that these students had one chance today to make it right. You think that this will be fun? Tell me something. Are villains attacking cities fun? What about natural disasters? The world out there is dangerous. So, therefore, anyone who lands in last place will be expelled. The students start to complain that it's not fair, and Izuku grinds his teeth and snaps. Life's not fair. Villains are not fair. Bullies are not fair. If you don't like the fact that you might get expelled, either prove him wrong or leave. After he snaps, Izuku motions for Kaken to hand him the ball, which he does, and walks to the middle of the circle, throwing the ball and getting a score of 70 meters. Case in point. Deal with the hand given to you, or walk away. Your choice. After his tangent, he walks away from the group, and everyone just stares. The test goes on, and eventually Aizawa pulls up their score on a holographic screen. After a moment, he says that the expulsion threat was a logical ruse and that no one was going to be expelled. Momo starts to say something, but upon seeing Izuku shake his head, stops. Eventually, everyone is in the locker rooms, and Izuku hears a kid say something that set him off to the point that he almost didn't care that he was trying to be a hero. Look at this. A gift from the generations of students before us. Someone Shawshanked a peeping hole to the girls' locker room. Kaken freezes, sensing the hostility coming off of Izuku, and grabs his wrist. Don't. Go get Mr. Aizawa. Shoto and I will make sure he doesn't do anything. As Kaken plays along with the FING pervert, Izuku runs out of the locker room, knocking a code to Momo as he passes the girls' locker room, and finds Aizawa in the classroom. Shota. Locker room. Mineta is being a pervert and is trying to look through a peephole that connects to the girls' locker room. To say that Mr. Aizawa looked sad was an absolute understatement. As both him and Izuku entered the boys' locker room, Kaken and everyone else were stuck to the walls, and Mineta was looking through the peephole. He said something about Momo, and all bets were off. Izuku rushed forward and proceeded to beat up the pervert, and then right before he was finished, Mineta made a grave mistake. What is a quirkless piece of shit like you doing here? See, Momo had heard what was going on and quickly went over to the other locker room when she heard him say that. She would not let that stand. That quirkless piece of shit has more of a heart than you do, just beat you up, and will be an amazing hero one day, you perverted quirkist a-hole. Aizawa nods, before seeing that Izuku was about to punch him again, and sighed, before wrapping Izuku up in his capture scarf, erasing Mineta's quirk and freeing the boys from his quirk. Midoriya, detention for 3 days. Mineta, get dressed, go to recovery girl, and then up to the principal's office. You're expelled. Mineta starts to cry, but everyone else ignored him, getting dressed and heading back to the classroom, Izuku doing the same after it seemed like he calmed down, after getting released from Mr. Aizawa's capture scarf. Eventually, Aizawa took matters into his own hands, wrapping Mineta up the same way that he did to Midoriya, and takes him to where he told him to go, before escorting him off of UA. In the classroom, Izuku was still vibrating from the anger that he was feeling, everyone except for his friends staying away. Eventually, Mr. Aizawa entered the room, and everyone but Shoto, Kaken, and Momo returned to their seats. As he walked over, Momo looked at him with a look that said, if he's going to detention, so am I. Shoto knew that look. He has the same look when he looks at Hisashi. He nods, and looks at Yaoyorozu in a way that said, I had a feeling that you would say that. He looks at Izuku. I know that you're set off. And I know that you were protecting your friend. That's the only reason why I'm not actually giving you detention. Midoriya looks up at him after he says that, but Shota isn't done. Instead, you will be going to mandatory therapy meetings with Hound Dog. Do I make myself clear, problem child? Midoriya nods, finally looking like he's calm. Good. Now, as for the request that you talked to the principal about. He's decided that you are allowed to head to the support labs whenever you want, in order to work on the gear that you need. Midoriya smiles before nodding in acknowledgement, and Shota finally dismisses the class, letting them go home for the day. When Izuku and Momo get back to his house, they automatically go up to his room, not even thinking twice about it. I'm sorry that you saw that, Momo. Why would you be sorry, Izuku? I lost control over my emotions. It's why I try to only get 2 to 5 hours of sleep. If I'm fully rested, and I get angry like I did today, I don't hold back. Honestly, it was part of why I was freaking out this morning. I don't want to accidentally hurt anyone I care about, and especially not you. Isn't that why Mr. Aizawa gave you mandatory therapy? Momo, I think that was partially the reason, but he knows about everything that happened to me. Izuku sighs a little before taking the leap of faith. And it's time that you did too. Izuku then told her about the time that he was held captive by Dr. Black, and the torture that he was subjected to, pulling off his shirt and pointing to each scar, naming every slug that caused each scar. Momo is usually composed with her emotions, but she starts to cry. Why would that monster hurt her best friend like that? As Izuku finishes his story, she pulls him into a hug, noticing even more scars on his back, and she swore that Izuku would never get hurt like that ever again. Not on her watch. Eventually, Izuku lays down, and Momo stays with him again, this time holding him, making sure that he knew that he was safe, both of them falling asleep as they held each other close. When Izuku wakes up, he doesn't freak out. Like last time. He instead looks at the clock and sees that it's 3:30 in the morning. Well, old habits die hard. If I can get up without waking Momo up, I'll go on a run. With that in mind, he slowly escapes Momo's grasp, feeling guilty about leaving, and heads to the bathroom with some clothes. Once he's done in there, he quickly writes a note that said that he couldn't sleep, and that he was going on a run to calm his mind, before heading out. Momo did wake up with Izuku, but didn't stop him from leaving. She didn't want to force him to get some more sleep, even though he clearly needed it. As much as she wanted to, she knew that his bad habits were not going to just go away after one day. However, what she could do is support him however she could. With that in mind, she makes her way into the kitchen and starts to make breakfast, brewing a pot of coffee while doing so. While she does this, she sees Inko walk in, and freezes. Inko chuckles at the sight and says, "You're good, Momo. I already know. Do you need any help?" Momo nods, sighing in relief. As Inko starts to help, they make small talk for a while, mostly about the first day of school. Inko stops moving while Momo is talking about the incident with Mineta, seeing how Momo's eyes are sparkling when she's talking about her son, and smiles. "You like him, don't you?" Momo freezes for a brief moment, before speaking. "Mineta? Hell no. Momo, you know who I'm talking about." Momo nods, confirming that she does like him. "He told me about everything. I don't want him to ever suffer like that again. I know the feeling. But holding him back from being a hero would hurt him more. I realized that when he ran away. I wish that I had been more supportive back then. We're only human. We're bound to make mistakes, right?" "Exactly right. Now, let's finish breakfast before Izuku gets back, and he catches us gossiping." Momo starts to smile mischievously. "What if we let him? I want to see him laugh more, and this seems like a good way to do so." Inko laughs. "After we're done cooking. Now, pass me the milk please." They finish cooking breakfast, and sit down at the high bar, starting to, well, gossip about their lives, when Izuku gets back. Upon hearing his mom and Momo gossip like two high schoolers, he laughs like crazy, walking to the kitchen and smelling the sweet nectar that is called coffee. "So, how long have you and my mom been gossip buddies?" Momo looks at the time, seeing that it's 6:30, and shrugs, smiling softly. "About 3 hours." Izuku stops, looking like a deer staring at headlights. "Did I wake you up?" Momo nods. "I knew that there was a chance, but it was definitely worth it. Now, grab a cup of coffee and relax. We've still got some time before we have to go to school." Izuku brightens up a bit before looking spooked. "Sheet, our uniforms." Inko smiles softly and lightly scolds her son about cussing, before saying that they were already taken care of, and that his was in his room while Momo's was in the bathroom. Izuku relaxes, taking a sip of his coffee. "Thanks, Mom." After they all have breakfast, Izuku and Momo get dressed for school, and head out to meet Shoto and Katsuki. Luckily for them, they don't comment on how they both arrived at the same time, only looking at them with amusement when they weren't looking. Eventually, they get into their classroom, talking while they wait for the others to arrive. 5 minutes before class begins, everyone has sat down, not wanting to suffer from either Izuku's or Mr. Aizawa's wrath. When their teacher does enter, everyone was silent. "There is something we have to do before we get started with class." After a few seconds, he speaks again. "Y'all need to pick your class representatives. Do it however you want, just don't bother me." Shota slides into his sleeping bag, which is still hideous in Izuku's eyes, and pretends to sleep. After all, Izuku was right. He does love his logical ruses, and no, they are not pranks. Yes they are. After a few minutes, everyone decides to pick the class rep by way of voting, with the rule that you can't vote for yourself. After they finish voting, Aizawa wakes up and tallies the votes, seeing that Midoriya has the unanimous vote for class president, which means that he's the one who voted for Yaoyorozu, not that he's surprised. Once he announces the votes, Midoriya tries to convince the others that he isn't class president material, and everyone argues with him, until Yaoyorozu comes up with a compromise. "How about we trade places? You become vice president, I become president, and we can continue with class?" Midoriya nods, reluctantly, but looks happy that he was finally able to escape the chaos that came from being the true class representative. Momo smiles, and nods to Mr. Aizawa. "All right. Yaoyorozu will become class president, with Midoriya becoming vice president." Now that we have that taken care of, someone else will be teaching you today. After Shota finishes speaking, he walks out of the room, and the entire class starts asking who is teaching them to themselves. He nods to All Might in the hallway, and heads to the teacher's lounge, aiming to get 2 or 3 cups of coffee before Hisashi catches him. As Izuku and the others are asking who is teaching them, they hear a voice, and all of them are excited. "I am here. Coming through the door like a normal person?" Everyone exclaims, "All Might?" All Might chuckles. "That's right, kids. I will be teaching you all fundamental heroics. And there's no time like the present, so everyone get in their hero costumes and meet me at ground beta." With that, All Might runs out of the room. Once everyone gets dressed and gets to ground beta, All Might begins to speak again, going over the plan to have indoor battles, with 2 students being the villains, who have to protect a fake bomb, and 2 students being the heroes, who have to either capture the villains or defuse it. Izuku, who is dressed in his normal Slugterra attire, a dark green shirt and pair of pants that are slug-resistant, and therefore resistant to most of the others' quirks, notices something. Is it just him, or does it seem like All Might is reading from a script? Izuku texts Mr. Aizawa. "Is this All Might's first year teaching?" "Yes." "Okay. Because so far, he's been a terrible one. Can you watch over and make sure he doesn't screw up too bad?" "Who says I'm not doing that already?" "Fair enough. See you later. Stay safe, problem child." As Izuku puts his phone away, he notices All Might looking at him. "Sorry, All Might. It was just my mom. Please continue." As he says this, he gives All Might a look that says, "Please don't screw this up." All Might nods. "Very well, young Midoriya. I'll try. Thank you for giving me a chance." He continues the lesson, pairing the groups together, and Izuku sees that he's against both Kaken and Momo, who are playing the villains, while he's paired up with Uraraka. She comes up to him, and they start to plan, but not before wishing the other team good luck. Momo was worried. Katsuki knew about his scars now, but he didn't know the full story. She did. She knew that she had no chance of winning, and that was not even accounting for Izuku's slugs. "Katsuki, we don't stand a chance, do we?" He shakes his head, before saying, "No, we don't. But I'm not going down without a fight. Look, I know that you like him. It's kind of obvious. Just ask the DMN nerd out already. But, after this, I'll go down there to distract him." He took a deep breath, before speaking. "I bullied him for over half of his life, and that's something that's not forgivable, and somehow we're friends. He knows what I'm about to do, because he gave me permission, but that doesn't mean that it won't hurt. He's going to need you after we're done." To say that Momo is set off is an understatement, but she sees how much it's hurting Katsuki, having to act like a bully, like a villain, again, so she knows that he will apologize as soon as the exercise is over. If you hurt him to the point where he has to go to the infirmary, you will be joining him, understood? Katsuki nods, and turns to walk away, before turning back. "I'm glad that he's got you in his corner. Now, I've got to go beat up my friend. Good luck." He walks out of the room, shoulders hunched down like he doesn't want to do this, which he doesn't. Izuku walks into the building alone, putting his plan into action. While he's down here distracting Kaken, Uraraka is floating up to the roof using her quirk, entering through the door up there and searching every floor from top to bottom. That's when he hears him. "Deku? Where the hell are you, you useless nerd?" He can hear how his voice breaks, betraying his true feelings. Kaken didn't want to do this to him, but it needed to be done. As Kaken finally finds him, he notices that Izuku doesn't have his slugs, and stops. "Forget the exercise for a moment. Where are your slugs?" Izuku smiles. "I didn't want to have anyone accidentally step on them during the exercise. We done talking?" Kaken smirks, obviously trying to get back into the villain role, but can't. "In that case, I give up. But before I do, I need to talk to you about something." Katsuki takes his comms out of his ear and motions for Izuku to do the same. As he sees him do so, he says, "Momo knows about our past. And honestly, I'm glad. I know that I don't know your full story, but I can tell that she does. You don't have to tell me, but I'm glad you have her in your corner. Also, ask her out, you DMN nerd. It's obvious that y'all like each other." He sees Izuku blush, and smirks again. "Now, I did say that I had to beat you up, so therefore." Katsuki punches Izuku lightly on the shoulder. "Consider yourself beaten up." Izuku laughs before putting a cuff on Kaken, marking him captured, and not even 3 seconds later, his team wins. "Thank you, Kaken. Now, let's get out of here, I don't want any of my slugs to mess with All Might." As they both laugh, Momo and Uraraka join them, and the rest of the school day passes by really fast, the only moment that Izuku remembers being when Shoto freezes an entire building, before walking in and touching the bomb. Yagi Tashinori, or as the name the world knows him by, All Might, had watched the indoor battle between Midoriya and Bakugo with interest, if you could call it that. It was more like a talk between two friends. But what he heard intrigued him. A former bully, telling his victim that he's glad someone else knows, not with hostility, but with sincerity. Bakugo could be an amazing successor, but so could most of the other students. He knows about where Midoriya went, but what was the full story that they were talking about? And why did the villain team think that they had no chance against him? Again, interesting. As Izuku and the others walk home from school, with Uraraka tagging along with permission, both Izuku and Momo look at Kaken, aiming for them to be alone for a moment. Kaken laughs, before leading the others away. Hey, Momo? Izuku starts, nervous beyond belief. Yeah? There's no easy way to ask this, but... Izuku takes a deep breath. Will you go out on a date with him? Izuku, you did it again. What was your question again? Izuku smiles, calming his nerves before trying again. Will you go out on a date with me? Izuku suddenly gets tackled into a hug from Momo, as he gets his answer. Yes, I would love to go on a date with you. Momo pulls away from him and grabs his hand. I was actually about to ask you out. But do you have any ideas on where we could go? Izuku smiles. I have a few ideas. But I want it to be a surprise. As they continue talking, Kaken and the others join them. Well, it's about DMN time. They both blush as the others congratulate them, walking home. As they walk, Izuku thinks, today is the best day ever. Over the next few days, Izuku has been going to the support department, working on making an accelerator for his blaster. Even though Izuku knew about how slugs were able to become megamorphs, his slugs weren't strong enough to handle the extra speed. He admits that he was jealous of Eli and the others when their slugs were able to handle it. But that's in the past. Along with the accelerator, he was also working on a double barrel that didn't require as long of a cooldown as Eli's did, and a mecha beast, although he didn't know how to get the slug energy to fuel it, yet. Maybe he could ask Mr. Powerloader, but that can wait till later. As Izuku finishes the accelerator, he hears the door open, and sees Momo and Kaken. Is the school day over already? Kaken laughs. DMN, nerd. You would lose track of time in here, wouldn't you? Come on. Let's head home. And no, Momo. You can't join us. You have to go prepare for your date. Momo pouts slightly, before heading over to Izuku, kissing him on the cheek. I'll see you soon. She walks out of the room, heading home in excitement. 30 minutes later, both Shoto and Kaken are helping Izuku get ready for his date. When Izuku puts his blaster on his hip, both of them scold him. No. You're not bringing your blaster. Kaken says, crossing his arms. Izuku smiles slightly. I'm not bringing it because I think there's going to be a fight, guys. I'm bringing it purely for the date. Kaken, you remember how I got back, right? Kaken groans, not because of the way Izuku was fighting back, but because he knows how much that Izuku's plan was so romantic. Beginning or end? Izuku grins maniacally. End? Now, which color? Black or green? Go with black. It will make you look more handsome. Both Izuku and Kaken look at Shoto after he says that. What? Just because I don't like to show my emotions doesn't mean I don't know what I like. Shoto smiles a little. And no, I don't find you attractive like that. Huh? You learn something new every day. Izuku puts on the black t-shirt as he says this. Kaken, any idea as to who he's talking about? Shoto blushes, but is silent. I've got an idea or two, but no confirmation, yet. Izuku laughs, before he finishes getting dressed. Well, as much fun as this is, I better get going. Both Kaken and Shoto smile. Have fun, and be home before remember that we have that field trip tomorrow. Izuku's mood darkens a little. I'm still worried about that. The incident at school with the gate seems suspicious. No. None of that. Go on your date, nerd. Kaken pushes Izuku out of the door before he can protest, before heading over to Momo's house to pick her up. When Izuku arrives at the Yaoyorozu estate, he starts to feel nervous. What if her parents decide that I'm not enough? But as soon as he sees Momo, his jaw drops. Momo is in a red dress, and as soon as she sees him, hers does as well. See, even though Izuku is just planning on going to a cafe, with a flight on Speedy at the end of the night, Kaken and Shoto decided to help him pick out a suit. When she sees his blaster on his hip, she looks at him, before asking, why did you bring your blaster? Izuku smiles, before shaking his head. You will just have to wait and see. Momo, you look amazing. Momo blushes. Izuku, I'm not the only one who looks amazing. She holds his hand, before kissing him on the cheek. Where are we going? Izuku shakes his head. Again. It's a surprise. Shall we go? Momo nods and starts to follow Izuku, enjoying his presence. When they finally stop at their destination, she looks at Izuku. Okay, how did you know that I wanted to come here? Izuku laughs. I didn't. But I know that you like tea, and this place serves both coffee and tea, so I thought it would be perfect for a first date. Momo smiles brightly, before kissing him. Izuku opens the door, letting Momo enter the cafe first, his face beet red. As they enter, they both see that it's actually semi-busy in there, when Izuku sees a couple together, and inwardly groans. Hey, Momo, you mind finding us to a table? I have to go freshen up real fast. Won't take me more than 2 minutes. After she nods, he walks up to the couple, one of them wearing their signature scarf. You know, if y'all wanted to keep your relationship a secret, maybe don't wear identifying clothing next time? When Shota hears Izuku, he groans. Aren't you supposed to be on a date? He sees Izuku nod, before pointing at Yaoyorozu. I am. But I figured that you didn't want her to know about your relationship with Present Mike. Hence the warning. Have fun. Izuku walks away before Hisashi laughs. He's got you there. Shota groans again, before taking his capture scarf off and putting it in his lap. Izuku walks over to the table that Momo picked out, and she smirks at him. Did you scare Mr. Aizawa? Izuku grins maniacally. Of course. I still can't believe that he thinks that it's a secret. But also, it keeps them on their toes. After all, Mr. Aizawa isn't the only one who likes logical ruses. They both order, drinking their drinks in peace, talking about school and other things, before leaving the cafe. Momo kisses Izuku on the cheek. This was an amazing night. I don't want it to end. Oh, the night's not over yet. Izuku starts walking into an alleyway, before stopping. I do have one more thing up my sleeve. He pulls his blaster off of his hip. Speedy, are you ready? Speedy hops onto his shoulder, and Izuku holds up a slug barrel, letting the slug hop in, before firing in the alleyway. Once Speedy transforms, he flies up, before turning around and heading back to Izuku and Momo. Hop on. I'll be right behind you. After both Izuku and Momo get on Speedy's back, the slug takes off, slowly getting higher and higher, until they can see the entire city below them. Momo is awestruck. Wow. This view, it's beautiful. Izuku smiles. It's alright, I guess. But I do believe that the most beautiful thing in this world is right next to me. Momo turns her head to look at Izuku. I know that I'm just a quirkless. Before Izuku finishes speaking, Momo leans over and kisses him on the lips, effectively silencing him. You are not defined by your lack of a quirk. You are one of the strongest people in either world, not because of your slugs, but because of your heart. You love to save people. And that is why I love you. So, no. You're not just a quirkless. You have been through hell, and you came back, stronger than ever. You're the one who worries about hurting the ones that you love. You have been alone for too long. Let me help you, Izuku. Izuku smiles, but it feels different. I love you, Momo. Thank. Before he finishes speaking, all of a sudden, Speedy flies down, in a way that Izuku knows that there's trouble. Momo sees Izuku's face go to hero mode, and sighs. But then she hears someone calling another a freak, and she scowls. They both hop off of Speedy, and he transforms back into his slug form, before both of them run to where the yelling was coming from. Upon entering the alleyway that the yelling is coming from, they see 3 people beating up a girl who doesn't even look. Izuku takes his blaster off of his hip, and hands it to Momo, along with his phone. Call Mr. Aizawa. I'll take care of them. As Momo calls their teacher, letting them know where they are and what's happening, she watches Izuku utterly decimate the bullies, knocking them out, and not even getting a scratch. Izuku walks over to the girl, and notices that she's malnourished, which would piss him off even more, if he wasn't already trying to hold back his anger. Hey. It's okay now. No one is going to hurt you. What's your name? The girl answers, fear still in her voice. Himiko. My name is Himiko. When the girl speaks, Izuku sees that she has fangs, almost like a vampire, and has a horrible sense that she's a victim of child abuse. Does your quirk require blood? The girl, no, Himiko, nods, and Izuku holds out his arm. Take some of mine. Himiko shakes her head. I'll become a monster. I don't want to hurt you. Izuku smiles softly. You won't be hurting me. Besides, I'm offering. I promise you, you won't become a monster. I have faced off against a monster before, so I know what they look like. Go ahead. After that, Himiko can't hold herself back anymore and drinks Izuku's blood, with Izuku barely feeling her fangs entering his arm. Izuku looks up at Momo, before talking. How long until Mr. Aizawa is here? She holds up 3 fingers, and Izuku nods. When Shota received the call from Yaoyorozu, he immediately started to head their way. When he arrives, he sees the girl biting into Izuku's arm, and starts to head over to stop her, when Izuku shakes his head, before pointing to the 3 people he knocked out. What happened? Izuku proceeds to tell him what happened, and says something that chills him to the bone. Himiko here has a blood quirk, and it looks like she hasn't had any for a while now. I'm bringing her to mom. Shota nods, noticing that the girl in question is now asleep. I'll help y'all get there. As the group walks to Izuku's home, Shota notices that he's stumbling. Midoriya, will you be okay for tomorrow? Izuku nods. I just need to eat before falling asleep. Momo? I'm staying, Izuku. Izuku smiles, and they finally arrive to the house, where Izuku opens the door and heads straight to the kitchen, getting something to eat. Meanwhile, both Shota and Momo explain the situation to Inko, and they can see the resemblance between her and Izuku when she goes into business mode. Looks like I'm opening a case. Izuku, eat and bandage up. Shota, I need her last name. Please let me know what you find. Momo, take care of him. I've got Himiko. Y'all get some rest for school tomorrow. Everyone does what they are told, and eventually, Momo and Izuku are in his room, cuddling together. Your mom will take care of Himiko. Just rest, Izuku. I love you. I love you too, Momo. As they fall asleep, there are no nightmares from either one of them. The evening eventually turns into morning, and they wake up, fully rested. How much longer until we're ready for the flight? Eli asks Cord, obviously nervous. Dr. Black and El Diablos can do a lot of damage in a short time, and they've been missing for 2.5 months. They're ready. I don't know if we will be able to return though. This will be just as much of a test run as it can ever get. Knowing Izuku, he would have had them done within a month. Knowing Izuku, he's already run into Black. Trixie says, entering the garage. Which makes me worry about something. When we were at Black Citadel, there wasn't any dark water. At first, I didn't think twice about it, but if the surface villains have a teleporter, it wouldn't be that hard to transport everything Black would need to make ghouls on the surface. Yeah. Eli looks determined now. Which means that Izuku needs us now, more than ever. There's a chance that Black has already tried to hold him captive again. Pronto enters the garage. Ah, yes. However, Izuku can hold his own. And he is sure to have backup up there. Eli looks at Pronto. Yes, but most of the heroes who are up there don't know about Slugterra. Remember, Izuku was only going to tell the staff at UA. And none of them would be able to face off against Dr. Black. And that doesn't even account for All for One. The power that I felt from him, even through a screen, reminded me of All Might's. Which means that he's at least as strong as one of the Darkbane's elites. Everyone's mood grows dark as the memories come to them. Alright. Everyone rest up. We need to head to the surface by tomorrow. My gut tells me that Izuku will need us tomorrow. Everyone nods and heads towards bed, before Eli stops Cord. Were you able to shrink Izuku's mecha beast? Cord nods. Yeah. The passphrase is his best friend's name from the surface. Katsuki Bakugo. As Cord says the name, Izuku's mecha beast shrinks into a miniature figurine. Good. Let's hope Izuku doesn't get mad at us for messing with it. Yeah. Something tells me that he won't be upset about it though. Anyway, let's get to bed. Yeah. As the Shane gang falls asleep down in Slugterra, on the surface, All for One walks into the warehouse that he set up Dr. Black in. How much longer do y'all need? We only have a couple more batches of slugs that haven't been transformed yet. We will be ready in the morning. Dr. Black stands in front of a computer, pressing a button to ghoul more slugs, before turning to All for One. Your son cost me a few ghouls, and I will admit that I was caught off guard. It won't happen again. All for One looks at Black. I know it won't. Because if you are caught off guard again because of him, you will answer to me. He starts to walk away, when Black fires a ghouled taserling slug at him. Just because you brought me to your burning world doesn't mean that I'm your pawn. We are partners. The next time you threaten me like that, I won't just stop at killing your son, I will kill you as well. Do I make myself clear? All for One smiles. Many have tried. But sure. Whatever. I will make sure that I don't threaten you again. Happy? Dr. Black scowls. Ecstatic. He turns back to his ghouling station, focused on finishing before the attack that's planned on UA. All for One walks out of the warehouse, walking through the portal waiting outside. After walking through to the other side, he turns to Tamura. Tamura, after you kill All Might and Izuku Midoriya, do me a favor and kill Dr. Black and his associate. They will become a waste of space after everything is done. Tamura smiles, glad that he will be able to destroy another person that he despises. However, if you fail, don't kill him, as he is quite the capable pawn, and will be useful in the future. Tamura nods, before heading to bed. Regardless of how he feels about the BSTRD called Dr. Black, he needs to at least work with him, but only until the two bosses are defeated tomorrow. As soon as morning comes, Tamura gets up and goes over the plan that his teacher came up with, splitting the hero students up and then hunting them down for sport. Once the plan is gone over with the NPCs, and the soon-to-be-disposed Dr. Black and El Diablos, Tamura asks Kurogyri to open the portal to the USJ, before walking through and seeing the class that one of their targets, Izuku Midoriya, is in. Tamura, El Diablos, and Dr. Black all grin maniacally. What a beautiful day for some carnage. When morning comes down in Slugterra, the Shane gang wakes up and sit down around the table, going over the plan. Alright. If I'm correct, the drop point that Izuku used to head up to the surface is located in Mizudafu, Japan. That's a good thing, considering UA is located in the same city. Eli pulls up a map of the city on the table, before pointing at the map. We should be around here when we arrive. Our goal is to immediately get to UA. The reason why is because, yes, the staff at UA should know where we came from, but the general public won't, and therefore, other heroes will try to stop us, which, as much as I hate to say this, we cannot allow. Eli takes a breath before continuing. Now, if we ever see Speedy flying from a destination, Trixie will continue to head to the main campus, while Pronto, Cord, and I will go to help Izuku and his class. Does anyone have anything else to put in the plan before we leave? After everyone shakes their head no, Eli nods. Alright, let's roll out. Everyone hops onto their mecha beasts and rides to the drop. Everyone ready? Eli asks. After an affirmative nod from everyone, they all start to fly up, heading to the surface, praying that Izuku isn't in trouble. When Izuku and Momo wake up, they head down to the kitchen to get their favorite form of caffeine, tea for Momo and coffee for Izuku. As they drink in peace, Momo can tell that Izuku's thinking about what happened at school a few days ago. Izuku? Want to talk about it? Izuku smiles softly, but his eyes are thoughtful. I can't stop thinking about it. I didn't see any sign of ghouls, so it couldn't have been Dr. Black. However, that kind of damage within that short amount of time? I can't help but think that something bad is about to happen. Momo grabs Izuku's hand and squeezes. You're not omnipotent. You can't know what's going on 24, but there are ways to prevent stuff from happening. Have you told Mr. Aizawa? Izuku shakes his head. How am I supposed to get him to help when it's just a feeling? Momo shakes her head. You won't know unless you try. You said that he knows about your past. He'll listen to you. And if he doesn't, at least you tried. Izuku nods, kissing Momo on the cheek and saying thank you, before calling Mr. Aizawa. After a few rings, Mr. Aizawa answers. What is it, problem child? We only have an hour until classes begin. Shota, I have a bad feeling that something is about to happen. Sheet. First name right out of the bat. Alright. Do you have any proof? No. It's just my gut feeling. Alright. I'll see what I can do, but without proof, I won't be able to do much. I was just going to have y'all come on our field trip with normal clothing, but maybe it will be wise to have you all in y'all's hero costumes. That way, if we have to, we can fight. Do you have Speedy with you? Always. Alright. Y'all get ready for school. I'll see y'all soon. See you soon. Bye. Izuku hangs up the phone and looks at Momo. We should get ready. Momo nods, and they both start getting ready for school. Izuku is about to put on his shirt when he feels Momo hug him, before she speaks. I'm scared, Izuku. What if he comes and takes you away again? Izuku smiles softly, before turning around and holding her head. I'm not leaving you. I promise you that. He kisses her, before retreating from the hug and puts his shirt on. We need to go. As they both leave for school, they both say goodbye to Himiko and his mom. Once they meet up with Kaken and Shoto, they inform them of what's going on, right before entering the classroom. As usual, they are the first ones there, but the difference this time is that Mr. Aizawa is already in the room, along with Present Mike and Midnight. Present Mike and Midnight will be joining us on our trip. The rest of the staff will be on standby, keeping an eye out for Speedy. I'm assuming that they will be heading for Nizu's office. Izuku nods, and Mr. Aizawa continues. All right. Get dressed and head to the bus. I'll inform the students to get ready and meet y'all when they get here. As everyone eventually arrives and hops onto the bus, everyone but Izuku, Momo, Shota, and Kaken start talking, clearly excited. When they arrive to the USJ, everyone walks in and sees 13, the rescue hero. As 13 explains the functions of the USJ, Izuku sees something forming in the plaza, and curses, before pulling his blaster off of his hip, slotting Speedy in it, and firing at the glass roof, seeing Speedy break through it and heading to the main campus. Obviously, everyone sees this, and Eraserhead tells everyone to head back outside, when everyone hears a voice. Izuku Midoriya, it's been a while. All of his classmates look at Izuku, who's gone pale, looking like a ghost. Sheet. He's here. Eraserhead, I'll take care of Black. He turns around and sees not only Dr. Black, but also El Diablo's Nacho, and curses again. Speedy busts through the glass roof and starts to head to the main campus, when he sees something familiar. He starts flying in their direction, noticing that it's Burpee and Eli. He gives Burpee info on what was happening when he left Izuku, before he sees Burpee nod and hop into a slug barrel. Once Eli shoots Burpee and follows him, he starts to fly away, before hearing a mecha still behind him, and seeing the redhead, Trixie. He flies into the main campus, and hears the mecha that she's riding transform back into normal. Once he breaks open the principal's door, he transforms back into normal, as Trixie rides in right after him. Shota is set off. Because of his hesitation, now everyone was split up throughout the USJ. It looks like he's in the landslide zone with Bakugo and Todoroki. As they are all fighting, he's barely able to see the plaza, but he can hear the blasters firing, even from here, and it's taking everything he's got not to immediately rush over. He knows that Izuku can handle himself, but he's also facing off against his tormentor. A villain blocks his view, and Shota proceeds to fight the villain, his stamina slowly depleting. As Izuku dodges the ghouls fired at him, he thinks about where everyone's at. He can briefly see Mr. Aizawa in the landslide zone as he moves, but he can't see anyone else. However, he can hear Present Mike as he yells, and that brings hope, as it means more students are safe. As he's thinking this, he accidentally zones out, which causes him to get hit by a Gould Ramstone slug, and he flies backwards into a tree. As he gets back up, he glares at Dr. Black, when he sees an explosion hit Black, not caused by either one of them, and they look up, and Izuku smiles, while Dr. Black and El Diablo scowl. Izuku, you really have to stop getting into situations like this. Eli Shane says, before the Shane gang flies down next to Izuku on their mecha beasts. Trixie followed Speedy to get back up. They will be here any moment. Also, after this, we need to talk. Izuku nods, and Dr. Black proceeds to fire ghouls again, while Cord and El Diablos engage in hand-to-hand combat. After a few minutes, a villain with a hand rushes over and touches Izuku, and Izuku raises an eyebrow at him. DMN, Eraserhead is so cool. Nomu, incapacitate Eraserhead. As the villain says this, Izuku quickly kicks the villain back, before firing Breaker at him, knocking the villain out, but not before the damage is done. The monster that the villain had called Nomu was slamming Eraserhead's face into the ground, and Izuku turns to Eli. Handle them. I'll help Eraser. Izuku proceeds to fight the Nomu, which was just as fast as one of the Darkbane elites, which means that it was as fast as All Might. He fires slug after slug at it, before suddenly he hears an explosion from the entrance of the USJ, and all of a sudden, All Might is through the Nomu through the glass ceiling. All Might was nearing his limit. When he saw the monster that Midoriya was facing, he automatically rushed over there and threw it out of the USJ, before he turned and was forced to go back into his normal form. When he sees Izuku's eyes widen, he feels ashamed. This wasn't supposed to happen. Midoriya, let me. He gets interrupted. Hide. Now. Izuku was shocked to see All Might's secret, but that could be dealt with later, as the hand villain was waking up. Before he could do anything though, the teleporter villain warped every villain away, including Black and El Diablos. Once the immediate threat was gone, he went back to where All Might was hiding, set off. Do you have enough power left in order to get out of here? All Might nods. Good. Get out of here and head to Recovery Girl. I will meet you later, and then we will talk. Izuku walks away, heading to Mr. Aizawa to help him get to the paramedics. Eli, Cord, pronto, help me get everyone outside. Eventually, everyone is outside the USJ, with Trixie and the UA staff arriving and helping out, and Izuku heads to Momo, clearly worried, but seeing that she got out with just a few scratches. Momo, I'd like to introduce you to a few friends of mine. Izuku does a whistle, and Eli, Cord, Pronto, and Trixie walks over, Izuku introducing them as they approach. Guys, this is Momo Yayorozu. My girlfriend. Everyone smiles, while Momo blushes. It's nice to meet y'all. I've heard a lot about y'all from Izuku. The group continues to talk, before Eli speaks up. Oh, I almost forgot. Here, Izuku. Eli hands him a miniature mecha beast, and Izuku has a look of surprise and rage. I thought I told you to not have Cord mess with my mecha. Cord speaks up. Say your best friend's name after setting it on the ground. Izuku scowls but sets it on the ground. Katsuki Bakugo. When he says the name, he sees the mecha beast transform into its normal form, and Izuku has a look of amazement on his face. Okay, you're forgiven. Izuku looks at the Shane gang, and then looks inside the USJ, seeing that most of the ghouls were in cages, before looking back at them. What did you need to speak about? Eli and the others look at each other, clearly worried. You will need to sit down for this. Izuku sits down, and Trixie hands him a tablet and a letter. This is the security footage from Dr. Black's escape, and a letter from Black. Izuku looks at them, clearly confused. Just watch and read them. As Izuku and Momo watch the footage and reads the letter, Momo grabs his hand, while it is clear that Izuku is getting more and more set off. Once the footage ends, and they've read the letter, Izuku looks up at them with a look of fury in his eyes. How long have y'all known that my own FING father put a hit out on me? Eli and the others look down in shame, before Eli responds. Ever since he broke out, and we found out that he escaped from Slugterra. We have been working ever since then to get up here. You deserve to have someone you trusted to deliver the news. Black had written that letter to taunt us, thinking that we couldn't do anything. Izuku sighs, clearly still said, but he was trying not to blow up, not with Momo right next to him. We need to tell the UA staff about this. Because of this, things will be changing. He sees Nizu walking over to him, and he stands up, tablet and letter still in his hands. Are all of the ghouls rounded up? Nizu nods. Why did you need to round them up, if you don't mind me asking? Izuku smiles bitterly. They didn't ask to be ghouled. Just like I didn't ask for this. He hands the tablet and letter to Nizu. We will talk about the contents of that footage and letter later. As Izuku goes to heal the ghouls back into normal slugs, Nizu watches the footage and reads the letter. Nizu flinches. Yagi, come here. As Yagi comes over to him, not in his all-might form, Nizu rewinds the footage. Watch and read this. As Yagi watches the footage and reads the letter, he scowls. He put a hit out on his own son? Nizu nods. Izuku has said that we will discuss the matters of these later. Until we know what's going on, we need to keep an eye on him. Not without our help. Nizu looks up and sees the Shane gang right in front of him. Of course. Let's set up the meeting for tomorrow. Until then, get Izuku home. The Shane gang nods, motioning for Izuku to follow them, as they hop on their rides. I'm not leaving you, Izuku. Momo could tell that he was set off, and honestly, she couldn't blame him. Everyone was in Izuku's house, Eli and the others talking to Inko and Himiko, while Momo was trying to calm him down. As he finally speaks up, he sounds like he's getting angrier with every second that passes by. I know that, Momo. He looks like he's about to say something, but Momo interrupts him. Hand me your blaster. He hands her the blaster, and she grabs it. Midnight? Midnight, who's a Slyran slug, hops into the blaster. Lay down, Izuku. He does so, and Momo lays down next to him. When we wake up, we'll talk over coffee and tea. After she says this, she fires Midnight at the ceiling, before both of them fall asleep due to her call. Eli and the others heard the blaster fire, but Inko stops them. It's just Midnight. Upon hearing this, they calm down. They talk about how she met All for One, why he left, and why did she not tell Izuku about him. When Izuku was diagnosed as quirkless, his father became ruthless. It took everything to get away from him. They continue to speak, until everyone eventually heads to bed, preparing for the meeting tomorrow. When Momo first wakes up, she sees that Izuku is still asleep, and she smiles, wishing that she could be in this moment forever. But, that can never be the case. As she gets up, she gives a little scratch to Midnight, who chirps softly. Momo heads downstairs, where she sees the Shane gang arguing with each other. No, Pronto, we are not subjecting Izuku's mom and girlfriend to your cooking. Momo hears Eli softly say. This is why you are rarely allowed to cook. After that is said, Momo feels Izuku's arms wrap around her, and he whispers a quick thank you to her, before heading into the kitchen. Pronto, out of my kitchen. Now. Pronto squeaks in terror and runs out of the kitchen. Momo looks at Eli, Cord, and Trixie with a raised eyebrow. Does that happen often? They nod, clearly trying not to laugh. Trixie finally speaks up. Izuku is the best cook out of all of us, whereas Pronto is the worst. Not going to lie, we've missed his cooking. Izuku comes out of the kitchen after a few minutes, scowling at Pronto, before shaking his head. Breakfast is served. I've got to get ready. He heads back up to his room, and Momo looks at him, still worried. Eventually, everyone is in the common room, drinking coffee and tea, trading stories with each other, until it's time to leave. Momo asks Izuku a question that she's hoping he gives her the answer she's looking for. Are we riding on your mecha or are we walking? Izuku laughs. Obviously, riding. I've missed it. Momo smiles brightly. Sue her, she's an adrenaline junkie, and going that fast was definitely a rush. As everyone hops on their mechas, Izuku hops on his, which looks like a lion, before holding his hand out to Momo, helping her hop on behind her. As the garage door opens, everyone rides out, heading to UA. When everyone arrives at UA, they are met at the gate by Mr. Aizawa and Present Mike, with Mr. Aizawa looking like a mummy, which almost causes everyone to laugh. Mr. Aizawa, you should be in the hospital. Not standing here like a live zombie. Izuku says this, and everyone except for Aizawa laughs. Problem child, if it wasn't for the fact that I can't move my arms, I'd wrap you in my scarf. Izuku smiles brightly, before having a thought. There actually might be a way for me to help. But it means getting hit by one of my slugs. We can have Recovery Girl on standby just in case. Nizu's voice comes from a speaker at the gate. She's already heading your way. Izuku nods. Alright. As we wait, I'll explain my thought. Medi, Doc, can y'all come out? Both Boondock slugs hop onto the head of a mecha, Doc on Eli's mecha, and Medi on Izuku's. The two slugs that you see are called Boondock slugs. They can turn ghouls back into normal slugs, but they're also healers. Therefore, they should be able to reverse the damage that you suffered from the USJ. But, in order to have the maximum effect, we would have to shoot them at you. Aizawa sighs. Of course you do. That's why you were wanting Recovery Girl on standby, right? Izuku nods, finally seeing Recovery Girl, when he sees her hold her finger up to her mouth, telling him to not say anything. Mike, is it okay if my friends know about you know what? Before you say anything, Momo already knows. Present Mike looks at Mr. Aizawa, who just shrugs. Sure. Present Mike turns around to walk behind Aizawa, seeing Recovery Girl and shaking his head, before hugging his husband with a huge smile, nodding at Izuku. We're married. Also, sorry show. After he says this, both Izuku and Eli shoot their Boondock slugs at Mr. Aizawa, who gets flung at Recovery Girl. After Recovery Girl checks to see if he's damaged, she is surprised by how there's no trace of the damage he suffered, other than a scar right above his eye. She unwraps Aizawa, before speaking. Well, that solves that question. Now, don't we all have a meeting to attend? The mood darkens as everyone nods and rides in, parking the mechas in a garage, and walking to the room that the meeting is going to be in. As everyone walks into the room, Izuku sees All Might in his muscle form, and he looks at him with a scowl. Stop wasting your time, All Might. No one here will say anything. Right, guys? His friends and Momo look curious as to why he's speaking to All Might like this, but they nod. When All Might drops the muscle form, they stare at him with shock, but remain silent, as there are more important things to worry about. Nizu watches the whole interaction with interest, before he motions for everyone to sit down. There is a funny moment when Cord accidentally breaks a chair, and they decide that it is better if he just stands against the wall during the meeting. As soon as everyone is in the room, with Vlad King being late because he slept through his alarm, Nizu speaks. Now that everyone is here, we can get to the matter of this meeting. Nizu holds up the tablet and letter that was handed to him yesterday. The contents of these two items concern Izuku here. Everyone here will watch the footage and then read the letter. After everyone has done so, we will discuss what needs to happen. As everyone watches the footage and reads the letter, everyone has a look of either concern or rage. The entire room then proceeds to come up with plans in order to stop the villains, when Nizu says something. Izuku, I want your opinion about something. I've got a plan in motion for the students to start living in dorms at UA. Do you think that this is a good idea, or should we think about something else? Izuku thinks for a moment or two, before nodding. I think that it's a good idea. It will keep our families safe, in case the villains try to target them. How long will it take to build them? Nizu says that it will only take a day or two, and Izuku nods, holding Momo's hand. Get a dorm set up for my friends too. Also, can Momo and I be in the same room? It's easier for us to fall asleep if we're together. Nizu nods after getting an affirmative nod from Momo, and the rest of. The meeting passes by, and everyone gets to work. Mineta is said. How dare that quirkless piece of shit get him blacklisted from every single hero school? It's his fault that he won't ever be able to touch a woman. As he thinks this, a portal opens up underneath his feet, and he falls through, appearing in a bar. In front of him is a man who looks like he doesn't have a face. Minoru Mineta, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm sure you're wondering why I brought you here, so I'll get straight to the point. I know how you are blacklisted from every single hero school. So, if you can't be a hero, why not become a villain? As incentive, I'll let you in on a secret. The quirkless kid who was the reason as to why you're blacklisted? He's my son. And I want him dead. So, with that, what do you say? Are you willing to become a member of the League of Villains? Mineta is shocked for a minute with the information that the faceless man had given him, before he smiles. I would love to join. 3 days after the meeting took place, Izuku, Momo, Eli, Cord, Pronto, Trixie, and Mr. Aizawa are sitting in the common room of the new dorms, waiting for everyone to arrive. It definitely took some convincing for some of their parents, but everyone was able to move in. The dorms, named Heights Alliance, were built, with the help of Cementos, 2 days ago. Everyone is enjoying a cup of coffee or tea, depending on the person, when Izuku speaks up. I want to tell everyone about everything. Everyone but Momo looks at him, shocked. Why? Trixie asks curiously. Izuku holds up 3 fingers. I've got 3 reasons. Number 1, almost everyone saw y'all's entrance when you helped out at the USJ, and therefore will be curious and have questions. Number 2, I am a target. Therefore, anywhere that I'm at, others will be in danger, and they deserve to know that. Which brings me to number 3. It's the logical thing to do. Mr. Aizawa smirks slightly at the last one, but otherwise stays silent. The Shane gang look at each other, clearly worried about so many people knowing about Slugterra. Momo grabs Izuku's hand and starts rubbing small circles with her thumb. Can I say something? When she sees the others nod, she continues. As of right now, only me, Katsuki, and Shoto know about Slugterra. And before the USJ, only one other student had even seen one of Izuku's slugs. And that was when Black attacked them all. I can't help but think that maybe it would have been better to at least tell the whole class. I know that. She is interrupted by a knock on the door, and everyone looks at it, before they hear Katsuki say, "Hey, nerd. Can you let me in? It's still a bit chilly out here." Hearing him, Izuku chuckles and goes to the door, helping Katsuki bring his luggage in. Smiling, she turns back to the Shane gang. As I was saying, I know that Slugterra is supposed to be a secret to the surface, just like the surface is a secret to Slugterrans, but the whole UA staff knows. When Izuku walks back in, Katsuki is following him, looking at everyone. So, what's with the secret meeting? Izuku grimaces, before speaking to Mr. Aizawa. Do you have the letter and tablet? When their teacher nods, Izuku asks for him to show Katsuki. After Katsuki reads it, he sits down, simmering in his anger. Your father? What the F is wrong with the BSTRD? Everyone nods, agreeing. Izuku tells him that he plans to tell the class, and Katsuki nods, still set off. It might be best to wait till tonight. Izuku nods. Eventually, everyone shows up at the dorms, with the Shane gang leaving until the evening, and are eventually left to their own devices in order to start unpacking. Once they are all done with unpacking, everyone is in the common room, and Izuku prepares to tell them. However, he is interrupted when Mina says that they should have a dorm room contest, and everyone smiles, their competitive nature coming out. Everyone's rooms were looked at, and eventually, they arrive at Momo's and Izuku's room, when Mina asks them how they managed to get a room together. I will explain after the contest, Mina. I promise. Izuku says, before grinning. But first, we're going to win. Before his classmates can say anything, he opens the door and everyone freezes. Their room was filled with books on one side of the room, with 2 desks in the corner. In the center of the room, a king-sized bed was there, with his slugs playing with each other, which Izuku asks them to stop while everyone was here. Last but not least, on the right side of the room was a small kitchen, not big enough to cook anything, but big enough to make tea or coffee. It's like an apartment. Everyone hears Uraraka exclaim, and no one could argue with them. Eventually, everyone heads down to the common room, about to put in their votes as to who won, with the rule that you couldn't vote for yourself. Once everyone's vote is cast, Mina announces after a drum roll that Izuku and Momo won first place, with an almost unanimous decision, with Shoto and Katsuki winning second place with 1 vote. Wonder who voted for them, I wonder. Kirishima says, with a huge smile on his face. Everyone laughs, and Izuku squeezes Momo's hand, before walking away for a moment. Izuku heads to the door and walks outside to the garage housing everyone's mechas. When he sees the Shane gang. It's time. Head in there in roughly 10 minutes. Everyone nods, and Izuku heads back into the dorms, and sees everyone chatting about the room contest, when he hears Mr. Aizawa come in. Are you ready, kid? Izuku nods, and heads over to Momo, grabbing her hand, trying to calm his nerves down. Alright, class. Listen up. Once everyone calms down to listen to Mr. Aizawa, he continues. I know that you probably have questions about why the dorms were built, and all I can say is that it's because of the attack that happened at the USJ. However, I can say that I am not the one that has most of the answers that y'all are seeking, both with the dorms and events that happened at the USJ. Mr. Aizawa glances at Izuku, who nods at him, when everyone hears a knock on the door. There is someone who can explain everything, and they are in the room right now. I'll go get our guests while he speaks. He walks away from the students, after looking at Izuku with a look that says, good luck. Izuku looks at his friends as they try to figure out who has the answers they seek, with only Shoto and Kaken looking at him, fully supportive, and that gives him the courage to speak. 3 years ago, I ran away from home. My mom was holding me back from trying to become a hero, and a bully had told me to jump off of a roof. He very quickly sent a text to the group chat that Momo, Shoto, and Kaken was in, saying that it wasn't Kaken, before Momo did anything that they would all regret. When I left, I wanted to get stronger. Which led me down to an area called the Drop. There's a whole world underneath our feet, and it's called Slugterra. He proceeds to tell everyone about how beautiful Slugterra is, when Aizawa and the Shane gang shows up in the common room, and everyone looks at them. Let me introduce y'all to the group of people who changed my life. He introduces Eli, Trixie, Cord, and Pronto, each raising their hands slightly in response when their name is mentioned, before continuing with the story. Most of you saw the man who had a weapon almost exactly like mine. His name is Dr. Thaddeus Black. He's a monster who decided to try and corrupt Slugterra. We eventually stopped him, but not before. Not before. Izuku takes a deep breath, before he breaks down. He sees Dr. Black aiming at him again, and it takes all of his willpower to not pass out as the ghoul hits him, causing him to scream in pain. It's been 3 days since he was captured, and every single moment that he was awake was filled with pain. Izuku zones back into reality, with everyone looking at him with pity, and he runs out of the dorms, running into the garage, hopping on his mecha, and riding out, heading to a training ground and getting a moment of peace. He hears Eli's mecha, and Izuku slots Speedy into his blaster and aims in the direction that he hears the mecha coming from without hesitation. When he sees who is on the mecha, he shakes his head. Don't follow me, Momo. He rides away from her, wanting to be left alone. 30 minutes ago. When Izuku had the beginning of his PTSD episode, Eli told everyone what happened to Izuku days before they managed to capture Black. Afterwards, Mr. Aizawa also showed them the footage and letter. When Izuku zoned back in, everyone looked at him with pity, which caused him to run away. Momo chewed everyone out for looking at him like that, before heading out to find Izuku, seeing him ride away. She quickly heads to the garage and hops onto Eli's mecha, when she sees Eli himself walking in after her. With a bittersweet smile, he gives her a crash course on how to ride the mecha, before backing away, allowing her to ride after Izuku. If it wasn't for the fact that she was extremely worried about Izuku, she would have been having the time of her life. As she finally caught up to Izuku, he aimed his blaster at her, before looking at her and shaking his head. Don't follow me, Momo. Those were the final words that she had heard him say, before he rode away. After a minute of looking at him riding away from her, with tears streaming down her face, she shakes her head. I'm not letting you be by yourself. As she declares this to herself, she sends her location to everyone, asking for help at the training ground, before riding off to go find her boyfriend. Present. Izuku rides away from Momo, tears streaming down his face as he does so. After getting a significant distance away from her, he turns into an alleyway and hops off of the mecha, climbing the fire escape that he parked beside. Once he's on the roof of a building, he sits down near the edge, finally breaking down again alone, and that's when he hears an explosion. Leave me alone, Kaken. I can't do that, Izuku. Izuku laughs bitterly. I'm not giving you a choice. He aims his blaster at Kaken and fires, Speedy getting within a few inches from Kaken before transforming back into his slug form. Kaken has a look of shock as Izuku jumps off of the roof, running away, before sending his location and letting the others know that he's on the rooftops, and that he fired Speedy at him. Ochako Uraraka hears the message come to her phone and sees the last point of contact that Izuku was seen from, and floats herself to the roof of a building. She didn't know Izuku as well as Shoto, Katsuki, or Momo, but she was still his friend. As she runs across the rooftops, she sees Izuku in the distance and runs after him. When he aims at her and fires, she barely dodges the slug, seeing it transform back into its slug form, and gets closer to Izuku. Please, Izuku. We just want to help. I'm sorry that you went through that. We're all worried about you. Shota sees Izuku shooting his slugs, and sends a message to his students. Stand down. I will make sure he gets back to the dorms safely. When he sees everyone acknowledging the message and heading back to the dorms, he approaches Izuku. You don't have to talk about it, but I'm not leaving you by yourself. When you're ready to talk, I'll be right here with you. When Izuku doesn't aim his blaster at him, he takes it as a sign, and gets closer to him, sitting down next to him. Izuku doesn't speak for a while, but eventually he's able to talk calmly. Are the others okay? Shota looks at him in the eyes. Physically, they're fine. But emotionally, they're hurting. Especially Momo. You pushed her away, when she was just trying to be there for you. That's not healthy in a relationship, Izuku. You hurt her when you did that. Izuku breaks down in tears hearing this. Kid, you shouldn't have to feel like you have to be strong for everyone. I know about your past, and now your class does as well. Let them help you, and in return, help them as well. Alright? Izuku nods, and Aizawa looks at him. Are you ready to head back? Izuku nods, and they head back to where Izuku parked his mecha beast. After he makes the mecha beast shrink into a figurine, they walk back to the dorms. When they arrive, everyone except Momo is in the common room, but they don't bug him, which he is grateful for. He heads up to his and Momo's room, and he sees her on the balcony. Before he goes to speak to her, he changes into pajama pants, remaining shirtless, because sleeping with a shirt on makes him feel like he's broken, and he doesn't want to feel like that anymore. Before he can head over to Momo, he gets turned around by her, and she slaps him, hard. I deserve that. I'm sorry. Momo looks livid. Sorry doesn't FING cut it, Izuku. You pushed me away. You fired slugs at our classmates. I love you, but that was stupid beyond belief. What would you have done if your slugs actually hit anyone? Izuku looks down in shame. I don't know, Momo. Momo looks at her boyfriend, and slightly calms down. Tomorrow, I want you to try to talk to Hound Dog. She lifts up Izuku's head to look him in the eye. You have been delaying therapy as long as you possibly could, but that has to end, Izuku. I will be there for you, but you have to let me be there. Alright? Izuku nods, tears running down his face. I'm still sorry. And I will try my best. That's all I ask. Now, let's go to sleep, alright? Izuku nods, before getting into the bed. As Momo lays down next to him, they hold each other close like their lives depended on it, and while Momo falls asleep, Izuku doesn't for a long time, feeling horrible about how he treated his friends. Eventually, he falls asleep, only getting 3 hours of sleep, before waking up, and a new day begins. When Izuku heads down to the common room, almost everyone is there drinking their caffeinated beverage. No one speaks to him, which he's grateful for, as he heads to the kitchen and brews himself a cup of coffee. When he hears someone walk in the kitchen, he turns slightly and sees Kaken and Shoto. How long did you sleep, Deku? Izuku holds up 3 fingers, and hears both of them sigh. Guys, don't. Please. Kaken looks at Izuku. Izuku. Izuku turns around and glares at Kaken. I said. Don't. He takes a moment to breathe. Look, I'm heading to Hound Dog after coffee. Just let me have a moment of FING silence, please. As he yells the last sentence, everyone suddenly became quiet, and you could hear a pin drop. F this, I'm going to the roof. Izuku walks away with his cup of coffee, and everyone looks as he goes. When Momo wakes up to banging on the door, she notices that Izuku's blaster is on one of the desks, as she gets up to answer the door. When she opens it, she sees almost all of her classmates in the hallway, looking worried, and she sighs. Where is he? When they tell her that he went to the roof, she closes the door to get a couple of jackets, before heading up there. When she sees Izuku sitting on the edge, drinking his coffee, she gets close enough to wrap a jacket around him, before sitting down next to him. After a few minutes of silence, Izuku starts crying, while speaking. I didn't want to go back to that nightmare. I feel like I'm broken every day, Momo. I can feel him torturing me every time I close my eyes. How is that even FING possible? Momo starts to tear up as she speaks. I don't know, Izuku, but that's why we need to head to Hound Dog. He will be able to help. Let's go get dressed, alright? Izuku nods and gets up, before setting his coffee mug, now empty, down on the ground and holding his hand out to help Momo up. Momo smiles and accepts the help. There you are, my love. When they head back to their room, they both get dressed, and Izuku puts on a shirt that makes Momo laugh. Does that shirt really say pants? Izuku smiles a little bit, before saying, yeah. When they finish getting dressed, Izuku goes to grab his blaster, and Momo grabs his wrist. Don't bring it with you. We will be coming back after school, so you won't be needing it. After a moment, Izuku nods, and they head down to the common room. When Izuku and Momo come out of the elevator, they see everyone watching them, and Momo looks like she's about to say something, when they hear Kaken say something. Alright, stop staring at them, extras. They're okay. Izuku looks at Kaken with gratitude when everyone else stops staring, which he returns with a nod. Kaken, I'm grateful, but don't call everyone extras. Kaken grins. Sorry, it just slipped out. Everyone laughs, before wishing the couple good luck. After Izuku and Momo grab some more coffee and tea, they walk outside to head to the main campus. Nizu must have warned Hound Dog about them coming, because he was waiting for them right outside of his office. So, our residential slug slinger and creation genius has finally decided to come to therapy, huh? Hound Dog says this in a joking manner, trying to ease the tension that they must be feeling, and he looked glad to see them smile at the way he was doing so. Let's head inside my office. All three of them go into the office, and sit down in the chairs provided. Now, why have you both come here today? Momo looks at Izuku. I'm just here for emotional support. Hound Dog nods and looks at Izuku. And you, Midoriya? Izuku looks up at him. I don't want to feel like I'm broken anymore. Hound Dog nods. I'm assuming that this is about last night? The couple hums an acknowledgement, and Hound Dog thinks for a few moments. I have an idea that might help both of you. Actually, it might even help your whole class. Have either of you heard of music therapy? Izuku and Momo shake their heads, and Hound Dog explains that music therapy teaches students and other clients how to use music in order to improve their own well-being. I've got a couple of pre-Quirk era songs already set up for both of you if you are up for trying this out. They both nod, and he gives them the two songs. The first song is called Drag Me Under, which was made by a group called Divide Music. I believe that it was inspired by an anime, but I don't remember what the anime was called. The second song is called Weight of the World, by Keiichi Okabe. Hound Dog looks at the time, and sees that it's almost time for class to start. I want you both to listen to these songs during class today. I will give you both a note to give to Aizawa, explaining what's going on. He hands them the note and dismisses them to go to class. When the class sees them enter the classroom late, they don't say anything, even though Ida is having to hold himself back from lecturing them on being late. They were usually here earlier than him though. As Izuku and Momo hand their notes to Mr. Aizawa, he nods and hands them 2 sets of headphones. They both thank him and head to their seats, before pulling out their phones, and Ida is standing up about to say something, when Mr. Aizawa glares at him with his quirk activated. They have permission, Ida. Sit down. Ida sits down, glancing at Izuku and Momo during class throughout the day, when he sees both of them crying. Mr. Aizawa, what's going on with them? Almost everyone stops and sees what's going on with Izuku and Momo when Ida asks their teacher this. Mr. Aizawa answers with a sigh, that's up to them to tell you. Everyone looks worried but don't push their luck. When class ends, everyone heads to the dorms, and both Momo and Izuku head to their room. Momo looks at Izuku with admiration. I want to do something, if you're up for it, Izuku. Izuku grabs his blaster, thinking for a moment, before putting it back on the desk. What is it? Well, what if we sing the songs together? We could do it in front of the class or just by ourselves. It's up to you, but I think it would help. Izuku nods. I can't get the songs out of my head. But we don't have any instruments, and I don't want to disturb Jairu. Izuku, we could just play the songs in karaoke mode, so that we can sing the songs without the lyrics. Tonight after dinner? After they both plan how they want to do their impromptu performance, they lay down in the bed, cuddling until Shoto knocks on their door and says that dinner is ready. As they head down to the common room, Izuku and Momo are both nervous, and they see Jairu look at them with a knowing smile, and Izuku grumbles about stupid hearing quirks without any heat, which makes Jairu's smile brighten. As everyone eats, they all can see that the couple are nervous about something, but don't say anything. After dinner, Izuku finally speaks up. Momo had an idea, and I want to put it in action, both as an apology and as a way to get everything that I'm feeling out of myself. Jairu, can you set everything up, since you already know? Jairu nods, and then proceeds to get a whole karaoke machine set up in the common room. After she finishes, she looks at the couple. Have fun, lovebirds. Izuku and Momo blush as everyone laughs, before going over and selecting Weight of the World first. When Izuku starts to sing, everyone looks at him in awe, including Momo, even as she starts to sing along. As they finish the song, Momo walks away from the impromptu stage, as Izuku begins to sing Drag Me Under, and she is looking at him with pride. Wow, he has an amazing voice. After the song is over, everyone claps for the couple, and while Izuku is crying, he's also smiling brightly. I want to say that I'm sorry for any trouble that I caused you all yesterday. I know that y'all were trying to help, and I pushed you away. I promise that I will try not to do so anymore. Everyone says that it was no big deal, and that they are glad that he's trying. Momo grabs his hand, and they head back to their room. Feel better, Izuku? He nods, and suddenly he kisses her. She's stunned for a moment, before she returns the kiss with fervor. Eventually, they break apart in order to catch their breath, and they get into the bed. They kiss for another few minutes, before they decide to turn in for the night, but once again, sleep isn't in the cards for Izuku, but whereas last time, it was because he was feeling guilty, now it's because he's feeling hopeful for the future. As Momo launches herself at Izuku, aiming for a kick in the stomach, Izuku steps out of the way, before throwing a punch at her in the face, making her step away for a moment. Before Izuku charges at her, he feels time freeze, and he sighs. Really? Right now? He yells, and he hears a voice right behind him. Yes, right now. They don't know what's going on. Izuku sighs, before looking at the person that the voice came from. That's your own fault, Sentinel. But I guess a fourth wall break would be appropriate. Who are you listening to while typing the chapter right now? It's on my station on Apple Music, but at the moment, Shine Your Light by Robbie Robertson. By the way, I'm having you listen to this for your next therapy session. But anyway, Izuku, we're getting off track. Do you mind explaining how you and Momo got in this situation for the readers? Izuku glares at me. I'm guessing you couldn't figure out a new way how to start a new chapter? I nod, and Izuku sighs. Fine. I'll explain, but first, get some coffee. You just woke up. I hold up my coffee mug and sit down in my chair, ready to get this chapter truly started. Comfortable? Good, because I'm not doing this again. Now, if you readers want the whole story, I guess that we should start about a week ago, when we found out that the sports festival was around the corner. By the way, right now, it's tomorrow. Now, Sentinel, can you play the opening credits so that I can continue? I chuckle, as I start playing Odd Future, and Izuku just glares at me before time rewinds to when Class 1A is in class, effectively breaking the fourth wall break, for now. This is my FIC, Izuku. 1 week ago. Izuku and the others are sitting down in the classroom talking with each other, waiting for the bell to ring. When their teacher comes in, they immediately go silent. Your fight isn't over yet. The sports festival is coming up. Izuku frowns, before speaking up. Mr. Aizawa, is this a good idea? Especially since we couldn't stop Black or the League. Mr. Aizawa shakes his head, before answering. Personally, I wanted to cancel it, but the principal thinks that we need to show the world that we are still going strong, and I don't have the power to say otherwise. Izuku nods, and Mr. Aizawa continues. During the next week, after classes are over, the gyms will be open till 10 p.m. for quirk and combat training. Use this time wisely, and go at this with a plus ultra mentality. The school day passes really quickly, and everyone starts to head out, only to be stopped when a whole group of students are right in front of the door. Well, if it isn't the famous Class 1A. Be careful during the sports festival. If you perform poorly, someone from another course can take your spot. Izuku and the others see a purple-haired kid say this, but Izuku can see what the others don't. The kid is scared, but why? With this in mind, Izuku looks at the kid in the eye. If that's a declaration of war, then bring it. Izuku smiles softly, and signs to the kid, hoping that he understands sign language. Meet me in the hallway. We need to talk. The kid's eyes widen slightly, seeing Izuku sign, and he nods. Now, can everyone please leave us alone? Some of us would like to go and eat before training. The class hears a laugh come from the group of students, as a member of their sister class, 1B, comes into view. As expected of Class 1A. One villain attack and they think that they're stronger than any of us. Maybe we all should just wait for another attack to happen. Why? The student looks like he's about to continue when Izuku punches the wall so hard with rage in his eyes, a fist imprint is dented into it. When he speaks, his voice is deadly calm. Are you not supposed to be a hero student? If so, I'm wondering why you're wishing for a villain to attack the school again. Do you like seeing people in danger? Do you think we asked to be attacked? You know what, here. Let me show you what the real world is like. Izuku takes off his shirt, and everyone turns pale, seeing all of the scars that Izuku has. These scars are from me being tortured by one of the villains that attacked us. So, with that in mind for everyone, please, leave us alone. As the crowd leaves, he puts his shirt back on and heads out to find the purple-haired kid, seeing him in the hallway a few doors down. Hitoshi was shocked to see the green-haired kid sign to him, and as he walked away, he hears the same kid yell at someone. When the kid finally walked to him, he could tell that the kid was said. Why did you want to talk to me? The kid looked at him in the eye. Why are you scared? Hitoshi felt a chill run down his entire body, 1, because he thought his acting was fooling everyone, and 2, the kid actually spoke back to him. You're speaking back to me? Why? Izuku looks at the kid again, studying his body language, and sighs. You were bullied, weren't you? The purple-haired kid looks at him, before nodding, with tears streaming down his face, and Izuku sees scars on his cheeks. My name is Izuku Midoriya. Come with me. Izuku grabs the kid by the hand and heads to the teacher's lounge, before entering with the kid. Seeing present Mike and Mr. Aizawa, he smiles slightly. Eraser, Mike, y'all need to see this. Shota and Hizashi look up to see the problem child with a general education student, with a look of rage on his face. What's wrong, Midoriya? Izuku points to the kid, Hitoshi Shinso, before speaking. Look closely at his face. As Hizashi and Shota see the light scars on Shinso's face, both of their moods grow dark. Your parents muzzled you, Shinso? Shota quickly erases his husband's quirk, because the rage that both of them were feeling was not going to help. Midoriya, I'm assuming you have a plan? The problem child nods, before speaking. I'm wanting to help him get through the sports festival. I was planning on helping him train. I'm assuming that because of the declaration of war that he just issued, he's aiming for the hero course. With an empty spot in our class, this would be perfect for him to transfer. Shinso looks at them all in shock. How were you able to tell? Also, I don't need any help from someone with a perfect quirk like yours, Midoriya. Izuku looks at him, before laughing. What's so funny? When Izuku hears Shinso say that he had a perfect quirk, he started laughing, because he was so far away from the truth. After he gets himself under control, he smiles. Shinso, I'm quirkless. When he sees Shinso's face look shocked again, he sits down. Let me tell you my story, since if everything goes how I'm hoping, you will be in the class. Izuku tells Shinso his entire story, and also shows him his scars, since Shinso had walked away before he blew up at the students blocking the doorway. Now, are you sure you don't need help? Shinso shakes his head. I'm sorry, but I can't. I have a villain quirk. Enough of that. A quirk is a tool, nothing else. You want to become a hero, so therefore it's a heroic quirk. Now come on, the Sentinel is getting tired of typing this conversation and needs to end this chapter soon. Ignoring the looks, eventually, Shinso agrees, and both of them walk out, with Aizawa and Hisashi looking straight at me. What? I'll let you talk to Shinso later. Both of them shrug, satisfied, and I sigh a breath of relief. The 6 days pass, everyone sparring with each other, both with quirks and without, and eventually, we reach the point where Momo and Izuku are sparring, to where I had made time pause, and Izuku speaks. And now we are back. Are you satisfied with how the chapter went, Sentinel? I nod, before speaking. You forgot something though. Izuku raises an eyebrow, before I disappear after making time resume, and Momo lands a kick in the ribs, making Izuku curse me out, before engaging in combat with his girlfriend, with everyone smiling. I'm hoping that I'll be able to get the next chapter done within a week, but I will keep y'all updated through the comments if that's not the case. Thank you all for the support chapter text. All of Class 1A is in a locker room, talking to each other, while waiting to be called out to the field, when Shoto approaches Izuku. Izuku, know that I will do my best to beat you today. Izuku looks up from petting Speedy. Oh? Is that the case? If so, how about we put a little wager down for the entire class? Whoever between us is in last place has to clean the classroom and kitchen by themselves for a week. Is that okay for everyone? When everyone nods, Izuku looks at Shoto again. Are you going to be using your fire? Shoto scratches the back of his head, before shaking his head. He's here, so no. Izuku closes his eyes and takes a deep breath, about to say something, but got interrupted by the intercom. Class 1A, proceed to the hallway. Izuku glares at Shoto. We will discuss this later. Izuku gets up from his seat. Y'all heard the announcement, let's head out and show the world how not just Class 1A, but all of UA how we do things. Everyone cheers as they go to stand in the hallway, leading to the field. Hello there sports fans. Hisashi Yamada, who the world knows as Present Mike, exclaims from the booth next to Shota. Are you all ready to see these amazing first years in action? Shota groans. Do you have to be so loud? Present Mike chuckles before speaking again. Oh, don't be a grump, Eraserhead. But we are not here to talk. We are all here to see some action. Therefore, let's introduce everyone. As music starts to play in the background, Present Mike introduces every class that is participating in the sports festival, from the hero course to the business course. As every student enters the field, cheers erupt from the audience in the stadium. And now, for the introductory speech. Izuku sees Midnight on the stage, and wonders if she is trying to make every male in the world blush. Wonder if Momo. No Izuku, focus. Midnight continues to speak as Izuku is having his thoughts and has Kaken come up to the stage. And what Izuku hears Kaken say amazes him, showing just how much he has grown. In another universe or timeline, I would have just said that I am going to win and leave it at that. However, today is not that day. Everyone here today has earned their right to be here. There is an old pre-quirk saying that seems appropriate for today. With great power comes great responsibility. That saying is appropriate every single day of our lives as well. So with that in mind, I have a message for my fellow schoolmates. Fight with everything that you have, because at the end of the day, you will know that you brought all you had to the table. Go into this sports festival with a plus ultra mentality. Thank you for your time. As Kaken steps down from the stage, the audience cheers for him and all the first years. After a couple minutes, Midnight starts to speak. What an invigorating speech from Katsuki Bakugo. Now let's get on to the first round of the festival. What will the first event be? Well, let us find out. On the screen behind Midnight, a massive roulette wheel pops up and starts to spin until it lands on the choice, obstacle course. Midnight then explains that the course is 4 kilometers long, with the only rule being to stay within the course. Izuku is at the back of the group of students, holding Momo's hand. Want to go on a ride with me? Momo looks at her boyfriend with a raised eyebrow. Wrap your arms around my waist. When Izuku says this, Momo sees the slug that is inside the blaster that is on Izuku's waist and shakes her head in disbelief before doing so. That's such a foul move and you know it. Izuku chuckles as the countdown begins. I know, but at least you won't suffer from it. As soon as the race begins, create 2 masks so that we won't suffer. Momo laughs as the final red light turns green and automatically does so. After the masks are created, she hands one to Izuku while putting the other one on. Let's see what this ride has to offer, my love. Izuku smiles within the mask, before shouting something that would be remembered as one of the funniest moments of all time. As a friend of mine once said, eat my stank. As soon as he says this, he fires Farty, otherwise known as a flatulorhynchus slug, from the blaster, causing a massive stink cloud to form in the first obstacle of the race, which is the doorway, causing almost everyone to start coughing and passing out due to the smell. After that, he fires Blizzard, his Frostcrawler, and Charlotte, his Arachnet, back-to-back in rapid succession. As Charlotte lands on Blizzard's back and launches a web at Izuku's blaster, Izuku tells Momo to hold on tight before both of them gets yanked from where they are standing and taken on the ride that is Blizzard, creating a massive bridge above the course, but still within the course's grounds, bypassing all of the obstacles and achieving first and second place respectfully before anyone else can get to the third obstacle. When they reached the finish line, Midnight was on the ground, laughing manically, while everyone in the crowd was shocked. Present Mike announced their win, while Izuku knelt down to the ground to let the slugs hop into his hand. Great job, you 3. After Midnight was finished laughing, she approached the 2 winners with the rest of Izuku's gear and slugs, all because Izuku said that he could win with the 3 slugs that he used as a bet against Shoto and Kaken. Flashback. I am telling you that this is a waste of time for me. Izuku said to Shoto and Kaken in the classroom. As a matter of fact, I will make a bet with you both. If I can win the first round with only 3 slugs, you 2 will pick up both Momo's tab and my tab at the bar the next time that we go out drinking with y'all. However, if I lose, I will pick up both of your tabs. Deal? The 2 boys look at each other, before looking at Izuku, and nod. Deal. All of this happened in front of Midnight, who pretended to not hear anything, which Izuku was grateful for. End flashback. When everyone else completed the race, Midnight starts to speak when Izuku sees something out of the corner of his eye. Focusing on it, he sees something flying towards the stage. When he realizes what said thing is, he runs towards the stage and tackles her off the stage as it explodes. Ghoul! Everyone evacuate now! Once the smoke clears, he sees Dr. Black and El Diablo's Nacho in the hallway. How dare you, Black! Dr. Black sneers at Izuku. You have been a thorn in my side for too long, Midoriya. It is time for you to perish. But first, I think I will have some fun, first. Think again, madman. Slugterra. As Izuku says the other world's name, his PE uniform starts changing into his Slugterran clothes. Your reign of terror ends here, Black. Flashback. Izuku is in the support department, working with Power Loader on his hero costume. So, what I am thinking about is if I need to survive something like a bomb or a gunfight, I need protection with me at all times. Which is why I need y'all's help with turning my hero costume into a nanotech costume with all of the protections that it already comes with, and more. Izuku explains to both of them as he draws a blueprint of what he wants. I want to use it during the sports festival as a test run before I use it in the field, which is why I am requesting you for help. Power Loader nods, seeing where he is going with the idea. You want to make it to where you can carry more slugs with you as well, I'm assuming? Izuku nods. Along with the fact that if everything goes how I want it to, I will be able to change into my hero costume within an instant. Let's face the facts. If this works how I want it to, it would not only save more lives, it could also change how hero costumes are changed. By saying a simple passcode, in one moment, you're wearing normal civilian clothing, and the next, you're wearing your hero costume. Power Loader nods again. Alright, what would your passcode be then? Izuku smiles. How about Slugterra for my hero costume and Surface for normal civilian wear, along with other passcodes for stuff required for school? Power Loader frowns. Izuku, are you sure about that? I thought you wanted Slugterra to be a secret from the public. Izuku nods. The only people who know about Slugterra other than me are my mother, my classmates, the UA staff, the Shane gang, Dr. Black, El Diablo's Nachos, and my SPRM donor. To anyone else, it's just a word. So yeah, I am sure that I can use it as a passcode for the suit while keeping the other world safe, considering no one has even spread a rumor about the place, which is actually kind of surprising. Power Loader looks skeptical, but nods nevertheless. Alright, let's get started then. Both of them spend a lot of time in the lab during their free time, trying to get this to work, when Power Loader yells victoriously. I got it. As Izuku looks at his costume, it looks like a usual PE costume. Slugterra. After Izuku said that, the uniform transformed into his hero costume, and Izuku laughs. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Power Loader nods, sitting down in his chair, exhausted. Congratulations, Izuku. You are the proud owner of the first ever nanotechnology hero costume. The first test run will be during the sports festival. Just make sure not to reveal that it's your costume unless an emergency happens. After saying the passcode to change it back into the PE uniform, and promising not to reveal it, Izuku heads out to head home, when Power Loader calls Nizu to inform him of the completion of the costume. End flashback. Sorry Power Loader, but this is definitely an emergency. Izuku thinks, while preparing for war.
Okay, sadly the chapter is over, and if you enjoyed the video just leave a like, and subscribe with post notification, so when the next chapter is ready, you will be notified. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye.